よいしょ。こんちせー、こんちせー、こんばんは、ゆうたでーす。本日はこちら、タングルタワーというゲームをやっていきたいと思います。これね、なんかね、たまたまね、スチームでセールしてるの見つけたんだけど、なんか謎を解いていく、事件のミステリー系のゲームで、殺人事件が起きて、その殺人事件を探偵と助手の2人で解決していくという。もうちょっとね、今回はね、タングルタワーの絵に合わせて、立ち絵の方も変えてみました。ちょっとね、似てるんじゃないかなと思っております。よし、じゃあゲームの方つけていきますか。ね、もともとね、海外の方のゲームみたいなんで、よいしょ。あれ画面を、読んだ。海外の方のゲームなんで、基本的にね、全部ね、英語で喋るんだけどね、日本語翻訳で文章が出てくるらしいので、その辺はね、心配なく。あと、音量大丈夫かな？僕の声もちゃんと聞こえてるかな？ゆうきくんに今、音量テストしてもらってます。でね、画面にゆうきくんのアイコンもあると思うんだけど、ゆうきくんちょっと明日があるんで、今ね、音量テストだけしてもらったらね、ゆうきくんはこのままベッドインです。おやすみなさーいって、本当はね、一緒にやるって言ってたんだけど、ちょっとね、ゆうきくんの方、体調がね、仮眠から目覚めてみると、あまりよろしくないらしくて、まあ、そうだったらね、もう無理しないで寝てという話になりましたので、ここは僕一人でやっていきたいと思います。じゃあ、推理を開始する。ね、新しく始まり、ちょっと待って。新しく始める選んで、もう一回押されるの？ここら辺スムーズじゃないね。タングルタワー昼下がり。ゲーム音量下げていい？待ってね。違う。待って。これ待って、ゲーム始めたら音量下げられないね。しょうがないから PC の方無理やりを下げるから。音量担当これぐらいでいかがですかね？下げるか。こんなもんかなというわけで、湖のほとり。
I tied the boat up to the mooring post, so it'll stay put.
なるほど。
For now.
今のところ、ちょっと待って、嫌なフラグ立てたね、あなたね。ボートは止めてあるから流れないわ。今のところはねって流されるっていうわね。
Loving the confidence.
自信か？本当にそれ自信か？むしろ変なフラグ立ってないか
？It's a bird bath.
バードバス。あ、意外とね、日本も一軒家でこういうの置いてあるところあったりするらしいね。
Is that just rainwater? Looks a little weird.
あ、実際バードバスの水ってどうなんだろうね。みんな入れ替えてるのかな。バードバス、日本でいうと鳥の休憩所っぽくさ、一軒家とかの庭とかに置いてあってさ、水が溜まっててさ、そこで水浴びしたり水飲んだりできるようになってるの。スズメとかが。
They're even singing a little tune.
多分ゆうきくんの声を聞こえてないと思うんですけど、皆さん、ゆうきくんに質問されて答えてる部分もあります。お前が歌うのかよ。
Please don't do that.
お願いだからやめて。音痴なのかな。
Wind chimes.
ウィンドチャイム。ああ、来ましたよーっていうベルみたいなやつ。
Silent wooden wind chimes.
それともあれ、新日中でのあれ鳴子？あとなんか見れる。
You ready, Sally?
用意できた。
Furthermore, I've been standing here for 7.5
私は7分半
minutes.
も前からここで待って7分ぐらい。
Just checking.
Do you have the map?
地図を持ってきた。
Yeah, but it's basically blank. Did you read the case file? What do you think?
I'm not sure
事件
yet.
起きた後なん
It's
だ。
really not a lot to go on. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it on the way to the crime scene.
あ、ここで確認できますよってことね。事件ファイル。被害者。19歳。フレイフォロワーさんかな。フレイヤさん。フローラさん58歳の肖像画を描いてる最中に死亡。お母様かな、名字一緒っぽいから。現場フローラの塔。ちなみにこれ名前読み間違えてたらどうしよう。フ
フローラは肖像画のモデルをしていたのでその場にいた。この女性が亡くなられたんだね。フレイヤさんは仰向けの状態で見つかり、胸に1箇所刺し傷あり、現場で凶器は見つかっていないが、未完成の絵に描かれている被写体はナイフを手にしている。ナイフの先についている赤色は絵の具ではなく血痕であると判明。で、ここがタングルタワーと呼ばれているお家で、ね、一つかと思っていたら、屋敷の上に2つの塔が建てられている。屋敷は丸みを帯びて湖に囲まれ、珍しい色が入り混じった水が流れている。それ何？汚水にしてるってこと？青白い崖が湖の周りに切り立ち、斜面は急で凹凸もなく登ることはできない。現在タングルタワーではフォロワー家とコインタン家が暮らしているっていいのかな。事件ファイルはこれみたいですよな。あ、こっちで音量調整できるようになってんじゃん。あれおかしいな。BGM もいじっといたはずなんだけどな。こっちでもちょっと下げておきますか。というわけで、あ、ワンちゃんいらっしゃい。
It's a garden. It's current.
We could
あっちまで歩いてみるか。
Ready when you are.
なるほど。ああ、なるほど。これでこうやって移動できるのか。ちなみにね、今回ね、海外のね、ミステリーゲームをやってます。ミステリーって言ってもね、なんかパズルがメインらしいんだけど。
It's full of the same weird water that was in the lake.
湖と同じ川って湖から汲んでるんじゃないの？じゃ
Any fish in there?
Not a single
あ
one.
魚も住めない水ってことですかね。
Although there is something in there.
別の何かが。
It's a cassette
カセット
tape.
テカセットテ
Or
ー
it used to be.
プというかカセットテープだったものね。ウサギゲット、ウサギゲットしない。ここには連れてきてないと思うから。壊れたテープ。水で破損したカセットテープ。ラベルの印鑑に滲み判明は不可能。あ、なんかさ、この辺見るとさ、ちょっと逆転裁判を思い出すな。こうやってマップを探索し
What do you think
て
it's for?
いろいろ回収。
I think it's to scare away detectives.
Is it working?
効果のほどは
No.
そうだね。お前が驚いてないんだったら効果ないね。
It's a stone carving. Wonder how it got
あ、ひびが
cracked.
入っている。
I think it's supposed to look like that.
あ
It's an egg.
意外といろいろ
It's a statue of some hideous, scaly, bipedal fish monster.
醜くて鱗に覆われた日本一の魚の怪物。インツマスかな？ハープを弾い
Playing
て
a
る。
harp.
セインのイメージなのかもしれないけど、セインってさ、国によっていろいろ違うよね。美しい見た目をしてたり、醜い見た目をしてたり、様々なんだけど、とりあえず共通してんのは、歌を歌って船乗りを惑わす。
Hang on a second.
よく見てみよう。
This isn't just a regular statue, is it?
おい、パズルが見つかったぞ。
Something tells me we're not going to solve
こ
this
の
just
謎は
yet.
特にはまだ情報が足りない気が。あー、なるほど。やっぱり情報を集めて
Let's come back
パズルを解いていくんだ。
It must do something.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
ハープの像。なんかね、後でこの記号を回して合わせるっぽいよね。そしたらここの庭園のこのね水槽の水が抜けたりするんじゃないかな。とりあえず奥行ってみようか。半魚丼かな。サンリオ正面玄関。これさ、1位1つ抜けてない？
What?
Oh, there's an
おい
O
看
on the
板から
floor.
落ちちゃってんの。うんだよ
Oh
ね。
yeah.
おお、ほんとだ。
Tangle Tower.
Twir.
トワー。
Should we ring the doorbell?
まあ呼びに鳴らそうよ。
Why would we not?
逆に鳴らさない理由なんてある。で
It's
す
a
よ
little
ね。
melody. Don't think it's locked.
鍵はかかってないみたいだけど。
Oh, that means we can just walk straight in,
違
right?
うと思うよ。鍵かかってなければ入っていいってことでもないくない？何のために呼び鈴鳴らしたの？待とう
I'm
よ。
pretty sure that's the rule,
ル
yeah.
ール的にはそうなるの？そういうことなの？いや、田舎とか鍵かけてない家に勝手に入るの？
Little bird feeders.
ここら
How
辺
do you
鳥
know
に
they're
優
for
しいね。
birds?
入ってみますか。正面玄関。正面玄関。大広間。水槽がある水槽。
There are
That's
weeds in there. And sand.
It's an aquarium?
Could be, except there's nothing living in it anymore.
今はもうってことは前はいたのかもしれない。というかさ、あ、これ地図
I
じゃない
think it's a family
家
tree.
系図なの？ポインター家、違う。これどう続くの？どう見るのこの家系図。上から下じゃなくて下から上なのこれ。もしかして。あれ家系図って基本的に上から下だと思ったんだけど、海外は下から上が普通なの。わかんねえ。でもね、これね、なんかのヒントになると思うんだよね。で、こっちが殺人事件が
A
起き
big
た
letter F.
フォロワー家。
Of course. Who doesn't hang a giant banner of their initial in the
自
lobby
宅
of
の
their
玄関に
mansion?
デカデカとイニシャルを飾らない人なんているわけないでしょ。いないと思うよ。海外はそうなの？海外がわからないな。とりあえず、これ多分、行くのこっちなんだよな。
Let's head to the crime scene. It's at the top of the west tower, I
西の塔の
think.
一番上。ここか。フローラの塔。
Let's take a look at that painting
絵を見
first.
てみよ
There it is. The unfinished portrait
う。
of
未完
Flora
成の
Fillo.
フォロワーさんの肖像画。
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it.
つまりフレイヤはこれを描いてる最中に殺されたってこと？
Looks that way.
で、このナイフの赤い部分が絵の具じゃなくて血らしいんだよね。うん。血液だことが判明した。
I wonder if all of Freya's paintings are this creepy. Maybe it's just because she never got to finish it.
There's something wrong with the crime scene. And something
Oh,結構
really
アニメーションで
weird
動く
about
ん
the
だね。
murder weapon.
We didn't find a murder weapon.
そうね、凶器見つけてないよね。フレイヤの殺害方法について非常に奇妙な点がある。こう？いきなりこんなことさせられるの？これでいいのかな？
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because Freya put it there. Almost.
気がついたな。一つだけ
Maybe
変え
just
てみよう。
change one thing.
こっちかな？フレイヤが食べる予定だったのってなんだよ。まあ結婚で合ってると思うんだよね。まあ、このフレイヤさんは刺された人だよ。結婚に完全に。
A paintbrush is holding a knife tipped with blood because Freya put it there. Nope.
違うな。あの絵はフレイヤの殺害に何らかの形で関わっていたのだろうか。
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with red paint because Freya put it there. That's not right.
間違ってる。でもね、これって一回聞いた
Flora's
ら、
portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because Freya put it there. Almost.
一つだけ、
Maybe
多分
just
ここか。
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because it stabbed Freya.
合ってるらしい。
What?
なんて
Weird, huh?
You think Freya was stabbed by a painting. Not by the woman from the painting, but by the painting itself.
Mm-hmm. Freya was standing right up by the canvas when she was killed. There's blood on the knife. It's the murder weapon.
それじゃ絵が刺したことになるんだよ
But
な。
it's not actually a knife. It can't stab.
See any other knives around here? Case closed.
The case is not
解決してねえよ。
closed. And even if you were right, where does that leave us? A painting can't be a murder suspect.
いや、まあ助手が言ってることが思いっきり正しいんだよ。続ける。じゃあ、殺された、多分娘さんが殺されてたあろうお母さんっぽいフローラさんに話を聞こうか。
Flora Fellow?
おお。
Hey, sorry to barge in. I'm sure you're still in some distress.
We need to ask you a few questions,
と
I'm
ころでこの
afraid.
探偵たちを
Did
呼ん
you
だ人は
witness
誰
the
なんだろうね
murder, Flora?
Nothing. What do we do?
Not sure. She's entitled to her silence, I suppose.
For now.
自分自身について聞いてみよう。
Is there anything you'd like to tell us, Flora?
もしかして
I don't really know anything about you at all.
I think that's the way she likes it. We'll just have to ask other people about her.
Yeah, okay.
昨日のアリバイ
Freya
のうちを
was
聞いてみよ
painting
う。
your portrait yesterday. Is that right?
Was this something you had planned with her ahead of time?
Was there something special about yesterday?
Did you talk to Freya at all while she was painting you?
She's not going to answer us, is she?
Nope. But at least we can say we tried.
供述。
Flora, you were definitely in the room at the time of the murder. Surely you must have
ま
seen
あそうだよ
something.
ね。目の前で殺されただあろうから。
Can you tell me anything about what happened to Freya? She's acting pretty suspicious if you ask me.
I don't know. Maybe she really doesn't know anything.
How is that possible?
何にも喋ってくれないよこの人。まあとりあえず。
Were you close with Freya?
あ、なるほど。こうやって人物に対しても聞けるんだ。
Did you kill Freya?
Grimoire!
What? I don't even think she's listening.
Oh, she's listening.
うん、話は聞いてると思う。
Anything we should know? Any hobbies? Besides staring out the window?
ほんと喋ってくれないね。多分これね、物に関しても聞けるんじゃないかな。
Did you ask Freya to paint this? Or was it her
結
idea?
構逆転裁判の推理パン
What is that
風
you're
味があ
holding
る
in the
ね。
painting, Flora? Some people have been saying it's a knife.
そしてほんと喋ってくんねえな、フローラさん。これはちょっと別のとこ行ってみようか。その前に現場見てみよう。
The outline of Freya Fellow. Looks like she fell onto her back.
いや、背中から刺されてる、背中から倒れたか。
There's a single patch
うん、
of
喋
blood
れないんじゃないかなと
right
思っ
in
て
the
きて
middle.
る。
No real signs of a struggle.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas,
So?
so she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again.
事件ファイルをもう一度調べてみよう。胸に一箇所刺し傷がある。胸に刺し傷があるのに、
There it is. The unfinished portrait of Flora
キ
Fellow.
ャンパスに近かったらどうやって胸を刺したんだろうね。
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it.
Looks that way. Is that a gramophone?
I think so. Except it's got a tape deck instead of a turntable.
It's also got a big crack down the middle.
思いっきりひび入ってるよ。すごい勢いでひび入ってるよ。これカセットテープを再生する蓄音機なんだ。使えないのではでも。
What about the cassette tape?
Yeah, it sure is.
真っピンクだな。ラベルにはこう書かれているフレイヤー。フレイヤー
Do you think it still works?
The gramophone? We could give it a go.
試す鳴らしてみる。曲は聴けるね。
It's piano music.
お、情報が追加された。停止する前に少しの間音楽が流れる。じゃあちょっとこっち回してみようか。噴水らしきところで見つけた。なんか聞こえはするんだけど。
Weird.
気味が悪いわね。そうね、気味。
Someone humming a tune.
本当だ。鼻歌が聞こえるね。他もい
Is
ろい
that
ろ
an
見てみよう。
egg? An egg with bird
鳥
feet.
の足付きの卵。
It's also
まあ
covered
な
in
んかの装飾
gemstones.
品だと思うんだけ
What a
ど。
completely ordinary object.
よく見てみる。お、こ
I
れ
think
もパ
it's
ズ
a
ルか。
container for something.
Those gems look like they come off. Nope.
ああ、
Did
なるほ
you
ど。
check the clue on the back of the egg?
あ、
I'm
卵
pretty
の
sure
裏
it
にヒント
explains
があ
where to
る。
put each of the gemstones.
なるほど。形ちょっと違う。いや、ちょっと待って、これ。見方が違うのか？そうだな、多分これ見方が違うんだな、きっと。これどういうことだ？ちょっとね、このヒント、こっちでちょっとスクショ作っておいて、ちょっとこのヒントをもとに謎を解いていってみようか。
Reset the puzzle?
まあいった。あ、これリセットね。で、こっちでしょ。あー、なるほど。これが赤と緑っぽいな。で、これか。これが、ここが緑。なんか向きがちょっと違うんだな、さっきのヒント。青、赤。ヒント見ながらやっております。で、ここのつながりが、こういって、あ、でも、ここないぞ。ここが
It's
ない
some
ぞ。
kind of clue about where to put the gemstones. It's some kind of clue about where to.
これが 紫っぽいんだよな。で、そうか。ヒントをちょっと別口でスクショ取って確認しております。みんなにもう一回見せよう。こんな感じ。これがヒント。これヒント画面横とかに置いといた方がいいのかな。まあ何回かこう回させてはいただいてるんだけど。こうでしょ。で、ここが多分合ってて、なるほど。これがこうか。形がちょっとずつ違うんだね、全部ね。これで合ってる？どうだ？
I guess that's wrong.
違
What's the
う？
deal with those lines between the gem? They must mean something.
これで合ってるかなと思ったんだけど違う？ちょっと失礼して。ヒントをね、みんなも見やすいようにちょっと出してみようか。ちょっとちっちゃくして、これがよいしょ、これがヒントとなっております。これをヒントにこの問題を解いていけと。多分ね、見た感じだいたいこんな感じかなって思うんだけど、パズル意外と難しいぞ。多分ね、このさ、線あるでしょ。線の形に沿ってると思うんだよね。で、その線がね、多分全部ね、位置違うんだと思うんだよ、これ。なので、その線の絵柄に合うように、ここが逆なのか。入れ替えていけばいいと思うんだよね。ここがちょっと違ったっぽいから、ここ入れ替えて、これは合ってるっぽいんだよな。で、ここのやつも合ってるっぽいから、これでどうよ。
I got it.
よし、いた。
I'm impressed.
というわけで、じゃあヒントを削除してと。
Did it unlock?
中には何が？
Nothing.
何も入ってないの？
Nothing.
ここまで頑張って開けたのに？
Well, I'm not leaving without a clue. An empty egg is a clue.
まあ
Right?
一応手がかりだとは思うけど、結局なんかもしかしたら入ってたかもしれないしね。空の卵。あとなんか
It's so dark back
暗
there.
いわね。
Somehow the sunlight doesn't seem to be making it very far into the room.
じゃあ基本的に薄暗いんだね、ここ。
Freya's painting
画
supplies.
材。これもなんか全部ひびが入ってる。どういうこと？これもなんかのヒントになるのかな？
Freya's painting supplies.
ああ、全部一緒か、ここは。パレット。
Supposedly, Freya was working on the painting when she was
こ
killed.
の絵を描いていた。
Looks like she was still holding her paintbrush and palette when she fell.
そうだ
Didn't
ね。
even get a chance to clean her
筆
brush.
を洗うことさえできなかった。ああ。そうね、筆とパレット。真ん中には大きな黒の塊がある。筆にはまだ乾いた赤い絵の具がこぶりついている。赤い絵の具がついているのに、絵の赤は血なわけでしょ。
The outline of Freya fell. There's a single, no real sign.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas.
So?
So she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again.
事件ファイルを確認。絵の具ではなく血痕であると判明。あ、でもそっか。もっと血ついててもよくない絵に。
There it is. The unfinished portrait of Flora Fellow.
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it?
Looks that way.
ここが血痕だとしても、ここでブスって胸一突きだと、もっと血飛び散らないっていう疑問があるよね。こんなもん
A bunch of old books. Covered in dust now, but they look well read.
あ、意外と細かいとこチェックできるの。
It's so dark back there.
Somehow the sunlight. A little pot plant, balanced on the window ledge.
It's the only plant in the entire room.
こんなとこに置いといたら落ちないって気もするんだけどね。ちょっと違うとこ行ってみようか。アトリエ。フレイヤさんのアトリエ。なんか面白いランプがあるね。
Puffer fish?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also a lamp, for some reason.
なんでこんなランプにしてんの？
A
ハンモ
hammock.
ック。
It's kind of worn out.
I would politely describe it as lived in.
A little hand-painted statue.
How can you tell it's hand painted?
Well, the paints are right there on the desk. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
悪気はないけど見ればわかる。あー。黄色、青、黒と白の絵の具が見つかった。ここら辺の絵の具はひび入ってないんだね。
Nice. A real treasure
How
chest.
do you know there's treasure in there?
Why else would it be locked?
大事なものが入ってるかもしれないじゃ
Plus,
ない。
there's a treasure map hanging directly a painting on the front.
お、再接続に成功。一回切れたのかしら？大丈夫かな？見えてるかな？あー、でもちゃんと動いてるっぽいから大丈夫かな？
Not sure. We should check that treasure map too.
これが多分ヒントだと思うんだよね、この地図。宝の地図を使って正しい組み合わせを見つけよう。竜が見てて、山があって、バツマークが正面にいて、まあ、正面に、そういうことか。バツマークが正面にあって、すごい遠くに木が見える。これ、カモメも飛んでるよね、これね。カモメも飛んでるから、木の向こう側にカモメがいるのかな、これ。多分それに該当する場所を探せってことだと思うんだよ。この絵って。で、一番最初ね、ここかなって思ったんだけど、ここだとカモメが見えないっぽいから、これ波もなんかあった？波はないね。あ、そうか。つまり、番号と、方位か、これ。なるほど、なるほど。つまり、逆の方位から見てる可能性もあるのか。となると、多分場所として一番可能性高いのここかな。H の6の W？ あとね、多分ね、条件が、またはI の6の W、あと条件が満たされてるところって、なくないなくない×が目の前に見えるから、一つ手前か、その場所に立ってるかどっちかだと思うんだよね。なので、H か I だと思うから、まず、H の6の、W で試してみましょう。
I did it.
お、いった。
How do I win?
Not bad. What was in the box?
More wooden models.
木彫りの人形
These are
が。
a little different to the one on the desk.
お、これフォロワー家の人たち。なんだ、赤い絵の具がここにある。じゃあ、
It's a
Is it
drink.
full of ale?
おっとっとっと。
Or mead?
Right now, it's just full of
今、
dust.
埃でいっぱいですよね。
That's a massive conch shell. Do you think there's a little crab living inside?
I hope so.
だといいわねってもう、探偵さんの話すっ飛ばしてんよ。
It's a barometer, but it's broken.
I've never seen a barometer that wasn't broken.
壊れてない圧力計って、いや、一度も見たことないはおかしいだろう。
What is it?
He's an imp.
彼はゴブリンか。
What does he do?
何をする？
Well, if you tell too many lies, he appears at the end of your bed in the
嘘
middle
ば
of
っか
the
りつい
night.
てると夜中にベッドの端に現れる子にレッドキャップ殺されないそれ。
Oh.
へえ。
Shelf junk.
ガラクタの棚ね。というわけで、そろそろこの人に話しかけましょうか。
Sir? Can you hear me? I'm Private Detective Grimoire. I have some questions for you.
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. I'd rather like it. Felix Fellow at your beck and
Felix-san.
call.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name as well.
Thanks.
If you would, Mr. Fellow, we really need to ask you about the murder.
I must say I'm rather jealous of you two.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
なぜ？
Out here solving mysteries, exploring new places, uncovering secret rooms,
目の
hidden
前で思いっきり
treasures.
宝箱開けてましたね。
That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, that sort of thing.
いや、別に探偵ってそんなね、ロマンあふれる仕事じゃないと思うよ、本来。猫探しとか、不倫調査とか、そこがメインだって聞いたことある。
So, Felix, what exactly do you, do?
Is it not obvious? I'm an
探偵か見てわかりません。
explorer slash treasure hunter. Yes, well,
ごめん。
best in the world.
一つ聞いていいかな。探検家とトレジャーハンターってなんか違うの？僕の中では一緒だと思ったけど、なんか違うの？なんか彼の中ではなんか違うらしいんだけど。
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that.
あれかなこれはインディ・ジョーンズかなトゲだらけのうんぬんとか。
But I've certainly seen my share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take me.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the fellow family has certain loyalties, and with Flora the way she is...
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
Don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora are my entire world. They are the greatest treasure of all.
待って待って。待って待って。フローラさんとフレイヤさんは親子じゃなかった。昨日のアリバイ。
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here?
Ah, right. Nasty business. Very unfortunate. I regret that I can't be of any help, but I wish you all the best in your investigation.
Hear that, Grimoire? We're done here. Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. I'm sure you're up to it.
Well, there's not much to tell. Mostly, I was in my room by myself, working on Flora's, working on a project.
フローラのとあるプロジェ
Your
クト
room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
おい、あんのかよ。
It was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent, perhaps. Uncertain,
的確に
as
話
life
せ。もっと的
itself.
確に
Abridged
話せ。
version, please.
Right, fine. I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty, as was the garden beyond his window.
ああ、なるほど。
Back in the
この正
hallway,
面の部
I
屋の人
bumped
か。
into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora too, of course.
この時点で全員が揃ってた。
Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me.
というわけでちょっと人物とか聞いてみましょうか。フレイヤさん。
Uncommonly skilled as an artist, but Freya was so much more than her talent. She helped me get started with my own painting, you know. It taught me what she knew about wood carving, too.
あ、じゃあそこの希望の人間はあなたの作品ですか？
She was ever so good with dear Flora.
Freya and Flora were close?
Oh, yes, especially recently.
How are you related to Freya?
Somewhat distantly, as it happens. My father, Lord Fellow, was her grandfather. Technically, that makes her a fellow. Let's just say there was some discussion over whether she ought to carry the name at all. There's a family tree in the Grand Hall. You should take a look at it.
What about her inheritance?
Freya's parents died when she was around 3 years old. She came to live here shortly afterwards.
Nobody left her a thing?
I'm afraid not. She had no formal claim over anything at Tangle Tower.
ここでは正式な権利を持っていなかった。
Dearest Flora, a remarkable woman. Yes, been married over 20 years now.
You two still get on?
Of course. What
あ、
a
これ仲良くないな。
question.
仲
She
良くない
hasn't
な。
gone quiet on you.
It's true she has an independent streak. She's had it her whole life. She's the youngest of 3. Always something of a lone wolf, you know? Just the way she is.
Lone wolf is putting it lightly. She doesn't seem to want to talk to
これ喋れ
anyone.
ないわけじゃないっ
She
てことか
just likes time to herself, away from the company of other humans.
Other humans?
Well, yes, other people, you know. You're the one currently basking in his presence. You tell me.
Let's move on.
そうね。あー、ちょっと待って。なんかね、物証見せよう。この辺って多分この人が作ったやつだと思うんだよ
Ah,
ね。
you found it. What do you think, huh? I had to rush the final touches a little bit. It turned out all right,
でもさ、こ
though.
れフレイヤの
What's it
人形もあるっぽいんだよな。
It's Flora, of course, surrounded by all her favorite people.
ああ、こ
I've
れ
been carving for a couple of years now. I was hopeless when I started, but it didn't take me long to master it, as you can see.
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed. Freya kindly taught me the basics. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can imagine. Of course, this particular model is a self-portrait based on hard fact.
Hard fact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course. I own a great many. But my weapons are stored well away from Tangle Tower. Safety first and all that.
嘘っぽいな。
Looks like Freya's paints.
Do you know why the pots are cracked down one side?
No, that's very odd. They're normally in excellent condition.
You seem pretty sure about that.
ああ、とりあえず肖像画聞いてみよう。
It would have been a beautiful painting. Rather a shame Freya was unable to finish it.
Nothing about it seems strange to you.
Well, all these modern paintings are slightly strange, aren't they? The emotion of the piece taking over from, say, anatomical accuracy.
What about the knife in Flora's hand?
A knife? That's what you see?
ナイフじゃないの？
You don't?
Well, as I was saying, Freya's artistic approach distorts certain shapes. Hard to say exactly what we're looking at.
お、ナイフじゃない可能性がある。ああ、じゃあハープの像
Rather
も聞いてみよう。
ugly, isn't it, as far as statues
Oh, so
go?
there.
Years of wind and rain have not been kind to it either.
Do you know what it is? The creature, I mean.
It's connected to the Remington family history in some way, but I can't recall.
蓄音機もひび入っ
Flora's
たね。
quite fond of that old thing.
これフロー
It's
ラ
in
なの？
poor shape, though.
Do you know what happened to it?
Can't say I do.
じゃあこのひび割れた
That
テープ。
looks like it might belong
コ
to
ピーのも
Poppy.
の。コピーさん。
Does Flora normally keep something in here?
She must do, but I
そっ
admit
か、あそこフ
I've
ローラの塔
never
って言ってる
managed
から、あ
to
そこ
work
の
out
部屋自体が
what.
フローラの部
Why
屋な
not
の
just
か。
ask her?
I feel like if somebody keeps something locked away in a ceramic egg, it's because they don't want to be asked about it.
Rules to live by.
That looks like it might
あ、これも
belong
コ
to
ピーのなんだ。
Poppy. It's unlike her to leave paint on the brush.
らしくない。
I think we'll give her a pass, given the circumstances.
Ah, yes. So we shall.
まあ刺された直後だから、それはどうしようもできなかったんじゃないかなと思って。
What's this?
It's my case file. It's how I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
You mean to say you're bound by the limits of what's written
ああ、
in
やっ
this
ぱし
little
なんかこの辺のさ、
document?
物見せて意見が聞けるあたりさ
Sounds、
ちょっと逆転裁判を思い出すな。じゃあちょっと次行きましょう。ここの部屋とかまだ行けないみたいだから、こっち。あ、殺されたフレイヤさんの部屋。うわ、絵がいっぱいある。
That painting is really something.
Why would you want it looming over your bed like that?
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
The atmosphere of chaos and oppression?
Hang on. There's a smaller version down by the floor.
小さいけど同じものがいい
It's
から。
a photograph.
写真。絵を撮影した写真。わざわざ。粘着テープの切れ端がついており、縁には黒インクで線が引かれている。何か表現してたのかな、これ。これ
Painting supplies.
ああ、ローラー、絵描き用のローラーか。
It's a fish?
I think it looks more like a whale.
Fine, it's a whale.
Could also be a shark.
何でも見えるんじゃねえか。
Freya's bear.
フレイヤの
Looks
妻。
pretty depressed.
He's had a rough couple of days.
まあ、あるうち殺されちゃったからね。
Freya's plants. They must not need sunlight? It's a little wooden box for paintbrushes.
筆用の小さ
To
い
the casual observer, maybe.
よく見てみる。
They're not real paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some kind of lock mechanism.
筆を正しい順番に入れ替えよう。並べ替えると手がかりに、紙を並べ替えると手がかりになる。これどうなってんのかな。こうか。ひとりくん、向きは変えられないっぽいもんな、この紙。ひっくり返ったりしないよね。まあ、ひっくり返ったりするんだったらなんか説明があったりするよね。違うな。こうか。これでこう。で、こうか。あ、並べられた、並べられた。緑、青。多分順番だと思うんだよね。オレンジ、あ、これ筆の色。ここが筆の棒のところの色。ここが形、ここが、ついてる絵の具の色、で、ここが長さと短さ。かな？まあ、順番っていう考えていいかもしれない。つまり、ここはオレンジで、少なくとも、1、2、3、4、5、6、1、2、3、4、5、6。4番目は、青なんだよ。で、ピンク、どっちもピンクか。で、多分これ長さだから、オレンジで一番短いのがここだったと思うんだ。で、緑が同じ長さか。
Nothing.
Did you find a hint on those scraps? It looks like a ripped up jigsaw puzzle.
まずこれが違う。多分ここ筆の長さだと思うんだよな。で、ここが絵の具でしょ。ここの青が変えられないわけだから、ああ、そう、ここの形がこれなのか。で、ここは青で決定だからこうでしょ。これでどう？
That's done it.
お、いけたいけた。
Neat. What was in the box?
Just a photograph.
写真
Well,
が1枚だけ。
most of a photograph.
これは友人の写真か何かなのかな。2人の少女が写った写真。
A
It's a
pillow.
cushion.
Yeah, but that doesn't alliterate. It's Freya's bed. A little bit messy.
散らかってる。
It's a perfectly healthy amount of messy.
drawing.
What's that one on the left?
Looks like two people. One of them's holding a red rose.
人物のイラスト。これはあれかな？フィフィとか書いてある。ここの人物たちのスケッチブックかね。
It's a little glass box.
I think it's a vivarium.
ビバリウム。
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in
葉
there?
っぱと小枝が入ってるでしょ。
Might have been for keeping insects.
ああ、そういうのってビバリウムってアクアリウムの別バージョンみたいなものかな。
Brushes, pencils.
They're clean, but they look pretty well used.
こんなもん？ここは
Freya's plants. They must not need sunlight?
なんかこれこんなもんかな。じゃあちょっと違うとこ行ってみましょう。図書室。あ、さっきフィフィとか書かれてた女の子がいるね。ちょっと女の子に先に聞いてみるか。
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
科学者がね、
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you? Miss?
She knows we're here. She just doesn't care.
気にしてないだけじゃねえんだよ。
a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction. You do not need to talk to me.
Oh no? How come?
Because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
おう
Thanks for letting me know.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator.
フィフィさん。
You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
あの二人の娘
Thanks for
か。
the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing.
あ、面白そうなんだ。赤く光っていいんだ。
What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi.
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
泣いた。
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh.
あー、じゃあコピーさんはよく無視するんですね。はい。
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked.
うんうん。
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it.
あ、聞
I
かさ
thought
れ
she
て
was
から
playing a
知っ
trick
た
on
ん
me,
だ。
so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us
で
upstairs.
一緒に行
When
っ
I
たと。
saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even
何し
though
とん
you
の
were feeling so upset?
うん。
Of course. Why would one affect the other?
いや、動揺してる割には随分冷静な判断してるな。じゃあ、いろいろ人物について聞いてみましょう。
Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44.
年齢44歳、58歳って書いてあったよ。
Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not
必要が
more.
あれば喋るってこと
So
はや
what
っぱ
happened
り
to
喋
make
る
her stop
人ではある
talking
んだ。
entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond.
大切なものをなくして以来喋らなくなったと。ちょっと待って、事件
I
ファイル。
require facts.
ああ
What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she
見
fell.
ようとしたら質問しちゃった
She
よ。
was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which, as a mere abstract representation, does
そう
not
だよ
count.
ね。でも、血
Nobody
液
has
がこ
ever
こに
been
ついてん
stabbed
だ
by
よ
the
な。
concept of a knife.
まあ、人物を先に聞きましょう。フレイヤさんどんな人？
Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There
自
it is.
覚はあるんだ。
Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did
仲良
you
くしては
spend
く
a
れてた
lot
んだ
of
ね。
time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became 1. Increasingly independent, and 2. Increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you were friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
ほうほう。
Sounds like quite a team.
孤立して初めてた。まあ、お父さんの
Name,
ことも聞こう。
Felix Fellow. Age, 53. Profession, none. Likes, collecting
職業
objects
無
of
職。
negligible
パパに対し
monetary
て
value
辛
and
辣。
assigning them personal value. Dislikes, the inescapable realities of human existence. Notes, Felix is my father and legal guardian.
And, is he a good dad?
I have no point of comparison, but I would say no.
No? Why not?
You asked me a binary question. Do not get upset that I provided one of the 2 possible answers.
What makes him a bad father, Fifi?
He has trouble expressing his emotions, and something of a willful detachment from reality.
Huh. Just like you, then.
Grimoire.
No, he is quite correct.
結構自分の父親に辛辣だし、冷静に見てるよね、この娘さん。
Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangle Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly 1 grandparent.
まあ、遠い親戚っていうか、いとこだよね。話聞く限り。というわけで、物をもろもろ見てみましょう
The。statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
ヒントがなくてな。
We're working on it.
We are?
Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
そこだいぶ若
Why
く
is
描いて
that
るんだ。
kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first
そうね。
place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course,
一目見て
the
わかるのすげ
gramophone
えな
belongs。to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days.
おい、どうした？
Is she laughing?
壊れたか？
That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden
あー、
and
確
in
か
the
にあった
grand
ね、
hall.
庭園にも卵。
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs.
それだけ？え、それだけ？
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood,
え、
not paint.
マジで？
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
血が混ざってるってこと？
In
絵
fact,
の具
it
の
may
中
be
に。
considered rather reassuring. The red paint on the brush is not paint.
Uh,
It is
これ
blood.
も血なの？
Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer. A wooden carving of my father, made
あ、
by
知ってるんだ。
my father. Although, now that I look at it, I do not understand how he was able to paint the red parts without any red paint.
いや、赤いのがあったんだよね。
It is a model of Freya, made by my father.
A model of Flora, you mean?
And a man with a beard. And a little red and white creature.
Why would my father make a model of Freya?
ああ、やっぱしフレイヤの人形を彫ってるの不思議なんだ。
I believe Freya was attempting to communicate something through this painting.
Any idea what it was?
I am not the person to ask. All I see is a blood-red mountain with angry storm clouds brewing above it. As such, I cannot ascertain any meaning from it whatsoever. This photograph is my favorite photograph.
So, why'd you rip it in half?
That was not me. Besides, it was not a half that was
半
ripped
分
off.
に破られたんじゃ
It
ない？
was only a
3
third.
分の 1？
There is a drawing of me, a drawing of Detective Hawkshaw, and a drawing of Poppy and Fitz.
あ、おじさん。とりあえず教えてもらえるものはこんなもん
Fifi's
か。
bedroom should be unlocked now.
あ、フィフィの部屋の鍵が開い
Can't
た。
wait.
ちょっと待って。
There's something about Felix's painting supplies.
そうだね。
Something.
Let's ask him about it.
後で聞いてみる。とりあえずまだこの中探索してないんだよ。
It's an illustrated book about birds.
It's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving.
ほうほう。うんうん。タンタムアミカの種しか食べない。これよく長生きできるね、この鳥。しかも攻撃的になって孤立するとか。
Sure. Why not build a science lab in the
そんな
corner
こ
of
と
the
もないと思う。
library?
The search for new knowledge. The archiving of old
まあ
knowledge.
便利ではあると思う
It's
けど。
downright poetic.
図書館に別
Is that a
に
snow
置かないよね、科学実験室。
Of sorts.
よく見てみる。ほう、あ、ここだね。
Hey, look at that. It's a model of Tangle Tower. There's the lake and those weird mountains. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing
持って
souvenir.
帰るね、持って帰るね、そっちのもの。でもなんかこれさ、後々意味出てきそうだよね。
Hey, look at some. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing.
I'm not sure. Soil
木
samples?
のサンプル。あ、微生物を研究してるとか言ってたもんね。 これなんでこれ
Books
倒れてんの
about ancient history?
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I tried to pick them up.
Good excuse.
言い訳だ。
Thanks.
A chalkboard?
黒板。
Is this a library or a
これ見てみ
classroom?
る。これね、ちょっとスクショ撮っておくね。多分ね、これもね、なんかのヒントだと思うんだ。絶対に使えそうなんだよね。というわけで一応保存しておきますと。
I'm not sure I learned anything from that.
まずは空いたらしいフィフィの部屋行きましょう。うおー、科学者らしい部屋だな、おい。
It's a magnifying glass. A big
How
one.
come you don't have one of those?
Why? Because I'm a detective? Should I start smoking a pipe too?
虫眼鏡持って、それはあれかな、いわゆるシャーロック・ホームズの典型的モデルか
You
な。
couldn't pull off the pipe.
まあ似合わないと思う。
What's that big book on the desk?
Looks like something Fifi's been writing.
Is it a clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments.
微生物学者みたいだからね。
It looks like a microscope. A
これ
big
が
one.
作った顕微鏡って。
Can I touch it? I'm not sure this is a microscope.
4つのレンズを正しい位置にスライドさせよう。ああ、なるほどなるほどなるほど、そういうことか。多分マイナスが多分ここで、これを同じ大きさに整えて、これでどうだ。
I guess that's
違
wrong.
The
うの？
four lenses all have different magnification strengths. So they must each have a specific position along the rail.
多分ね、この形、下にあるでしょ、下にあるこの形をね、作るんだと思うんだ。だとしたら、これで合ってそうだけど。ここが切れちゃいけないってこと？これじゃでかすぎるよね。多分これでぴったしだと思うんだけど。こうか。
That's the one.
切れ目も見えちゃいけなかったのか。
Hey, not bad.
あ、いたいた。
Sounds like it unlocked.
Yeah, it's built on top of a little metal box. There's a book in here.
日記か。後で本人に聞いてみよう。
Fifi's got something pinned up here.
What is all this?
よく見てみる。何これ。これもなんかのヒントになりそうだけど、まあ率直に言うと何これ。まあこれもなんかのヒントなのかな。何の計算式だろうこれ。カップリングっていうか、いつの間にか自分らも書かれてるぞこれ。グリモアとシェリーだよね。
Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And
あ、そうだね。フ
Fifi
レイヤとフィービー
herself.
自身も書かれてない。むしろなんで我々が書かれてるの？
A new suspect. Don't think you can get out being questioned just because you're a
疲れてき
bear.
てるグリマーさん。
I'm innocent, I promise.
Save it for the judge.
二人とも疲れてきてる。
Scientific formulas. Probably. I'll openly admit I have no idea what any of it means.
まあ、詳しくないだろうかな。こんなもんかここは。
What's that big
Looks
book?
like
Is it
something. I hope it's just a bunch of notes about her
じゃあ
mom.
次行きましょうか。あ、絵の具について聞いてみよう。
So, about this paint we found in your room.
Nothing suspicious about it. I used it to paint, obviously. Totally normal thing to do.
We never said it was suspicious.
Come on then, out with it. What exactly are you accusing me of?
It has the wrong lid on.
You sure about that?
Not entirely.
Come on then, out with it.
なんの？
What exactly are you accusing me?
It's not your paint pot. Did you take it from somewhere else?
What on earth? It's definitely mine.
Oh.
I even have proof. Look, the lid matches the ones on all my other paint pots.
他の絵の具と
End
同じだ。
of discussion.
That's not the end of the discussion.
We need a clue to compare with Felix's red paint. Something to prove who it actually belongs to.
フレイヤの絵の具？
Let's take a closer look at this.
あ、ここだ。全く同じものだと。隠すために蓋が入れ替えられた。これでどう
Freya's
だ？
yellow paint pot is exactly the same as Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it. Nope.
ん？違う？マークが一緒なんだよね。こうかな？絵の具とそれ次のものと入れ替えられた。こうか。
Freya's red paint pot was
当たってたみ
stolen
たい。
and replaced with Felix's red paint pot, but the lids were swapped to hide it.
That red paint is from Freya's supplies, not yours. Swapping the lids doesn't hide what you did.
Why are you bothering me about paint anyway?
そう
And
と
none
は
of
いか
this
ない
is
んだよ
connected
な。
to
だ
your
ってこの赤
murder.
絵の具に結婚があったんだもん。結婚が含まれていなかった。まあ、フレイヤがフローラの絵を描く前に結婚が含まれていなかったらおかしいよな。どれだどれだピックスフレイヤの絵の具を盗んだことがと殺人が表明してんのはすべての絵の具の瓶はしまい込まれていて血痕が この絵の具を盗んだことと殺人が関係している。X はフレイヤがフローラの絵を描く前に赤い絵の具の瓶が空になっていた。
Felix was somehow filled with this red paint pot and then locked
違
away.
うと思うんだけど、違うね。フレイヤの赤い絵の具の中になんか変なものが入ってたのね。入ってたね。血液が入ってたね。赤い絵の具の瓶は
All of the paint pots had been emptied of all its blood by Freya several weeks ago. That's not
違
right.
う。フレイヤの瓶には赤い絵の具は入っていなかった。何か別のものだった。こうかな。
This red paint pot was somehow filled with blood before Freya used it to paint Flora.
Oh, that,
当たった
That's
ーってこと。
definitely
絵を描く前から血が入ってたってこと。
fine. Here's the story. I was busy working on a project when I suddenly realized I had run out of red paint. There was a certain amount of time pressure, so I politely asked Freya if I could borrow hers. Just for a little while, you know, perfectly reasonable request.
But she said no.
I tried to explain why I needed it, but she didn't seem to care. So,
勝手に持ってったと。
I took Freya's red paint pot and swapped it with my own empty one.
You went into her room?
Not my proudest moment, but it's just paint. I didn't touch anything else.
And the paint pot you left behind was definitely empty?
Quite. I have absolutely no idea how it got blood in it, if that's what you're asking.
Why were you in such a hurry to get a hold of red paint anyway?
I was trying to finish this in time for Flora's birthday. I needed red to paint the final details.
Could you not have just used a different color?
Out of the question. It had to be red and
あれは
white.
赤と白でな
If
き
you
ゃあれっ
managed
て
to
なんだ
finish
よ。
it, why haven't you given it to Flora yet?
Well, I decided against it in the end. After what happened, seemed a bit insensitive.
あー、殺人事件か。じゃあちょっとこっちとか行ってみようか。お、誰かいる。あなたは誰？
Nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
逆になってる。
Private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Who are you, anyway?
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice. Hawkshaw's a cooler name than
こ
Grimoire.
の人も探
Maybe
偵？
I'll become her sidekick.
You're not on the Freya fellow case, too, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh. Right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do. It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small
この方の名
exception.
前が聞き取れなかったんだけど、なんて読むんだろうね。
Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty to
まあ
answer
それは
that.
ね、
Now, I shall permit you one more question.
あと一
What
つだけ。
crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
なぜ潰したシェリー？
You really think so? As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangle Tower. Hers was one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance,
フロ
but
ーナ、
she
フィ
did
フィーの
not.
本名だね。
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite.
供述どうぞ。
Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him
君を聞い
great
て駆けつ
alarm.
けたって感じな
He
のか
told
な。
me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
ペネ
She
ロ
was
ペさん。
clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an
まあそりゃそう
intruder.
だろ、私立探偵として仕事でき
I
てんだ
took
か
my
ら。
leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower.
彼っ
An
て誰だよ。
unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled. That much was clear. But sorrowful? Mournful? I cannot say.
ほうほう。では、
Quite the
人物につい
stoic
て。
statue, isn't she? I can only dream of being as cold and indifferent as Flora Fellow.
You think she's hiding something?
Perhaps. She has some strange habits. I heard she barely sleeps, an hour here or there, sporadically. Spends the rest of her time staring up at the sky.
何があったんだ。ずいぶん虚無な生活を送ってるけど。
Did you get anything useful out of him?
Not sure. What about you?
Nothing worth committing to paper.
I think he knows more than he lets on.
Probably. But talking with him is so
退屈
tedious.
だわ。
Considerably intelligent, and her powers of observation are enviable. But she has no ambition, no focus.
In her defense, she's still a teenager.
Barely. Freya Fellow is of great interest to me. I perceived her to be the most intelligent individual here at Tangle
Oh.
Tower. Within a day, she had identified for whom I was working
え、す
and
ごっ
for。what I was searching. I didn't know how she did it. I was impressed. I regret that I did not question her more thoroughly when I had the opportunity.
You couldn't have known she was about to be killed, though.
I have only myself to blame for failing to
証拠
perceive
はあ
the
ったの？
signs.
What signs?
I do not wish to do your job for you, detective.
ヒントぐらいくださいよ。きつくさいな。
314 cases solved.
300?
And 14.
そりゃね、多分ね、グリモアさんね、言うほど有名な私立探偵じゃないと思うんだよね。では、物について。
A diary. Have you read it?
Not yet. It's locked.
And you haven't attempted to force it open?
That would be cheating.
A book from the library. One of hundreds, no doubt.
な
What
んで
makes
この
this
鳥な
one
のか気に
special?
なるけどね。
It's about birds.
Yes, I see that.
When did Freya draw the picture of you, Hawkshaw?
I didn't model for her, if that's what you're
Okay, nice.
asking. She must have done it without my permission.
Could just be from memory. It's not quite as detailed as the others anyway.
A photograph of Freya. Could be important.
あ、やっぱしフレイヤなんだね。これフレイヤとフィフィ。
I admit, it's powerful. Freya was a talented young woman.
Someone even liked it enough to take a photo of it.
Now, we don't know why they took the photograph,
あ、
do
そうね。
we?
なんで撮られたんだろ
Perhaps
う、こ
they
の写
just
真。
wanted it for reference. These figurines remind me of a case I once solved involving a
呪
possessed
われた人
doll.
形にまつわる
Turned
事
out to be
件。
a bit of a smokescreen, as these things often do.
Your life sounds fun. Grimoire, why don't we ever have fun adventures like that?
Are we not having a fun adventure right at this very moment?
今、助手をする相手間違えたなと思ってるよね、シェリーさんね。
I'd tell him not to quit his day job. But he hasn't got one, has he?
あ、はい、無職だそうですから。
The paint is still wet.
Yeah, well, we know Freya was in the middle of painting when she was killed.
Do you know that? How? Because you were told? Paints?
Yep.
Paints.
Mm-hmm.
それだけ
You got it open. I'm impressed. I managed it myself yesterday. I thought Flora might be hiding something in there.
It was empty yesterday, too.
It was. Perhaps it's always been empty.
昨日も空だった。
I believe that was in Flora's room yesterday. But it was not cracked when I saw it
Yeah.
last. A somewhat cumbersome device, and an altogether
What kind
inefficient...
of music do you like,
いや、音
Hawkshaw?
楽どう好みなんかどうでもいいんだよ。
I like anything.
What a cop-out.
Makes quite an impression, doesn't it? Although I can't imagine why she painted Flora wielding a knife.
You didn't see a knife anywhere in Flora's room, did you?
I did not. I conclude whatever stabbed Freya must have been brought into the room from outside. Unless, of course, it was the painting itself.
Surely you don't believe in that kind of thing.
結
A
局さ、
detective's
本来
job
の
is
凶
to
器らしいものが
examine
見つかってないんだ
every
よな。
avenue of thinking.
そして赤い絵の具は体ったっぽ
Have
い。
you deciphered the meaning of those 4 symbols on the harp?
We're working on it.
That's a no, then. Where'd you dig that up?
It wasn't buried. It was underwater.
Someone trying to conceal evidence, perhaps?
こんなもんかな。で、ここら辺もちょっと見てみ
You
ようか。
ever see a mushroom that big before?
Not in real life.
Is that a clock?
系か
If it is, it's a
よく見
clock.
てみる。
I'm guessing it doesn't tell the
う
time.
ん、そうだね。どう考えても時間伝えるもんじゃない
So
ね。
what does it do?
4本の針が正しい位置に来るまでダイヤルを回そう。あ、勝手に動くんだ、全部。これだけ動かない。ああ、なるほど、なるほど。繋がってるところとかのあれもあるのか。あ、なるほど。これで9に見える。12に見える。3、9、12、9に見えるんだよ。
Nope.
So moving any of the hands turns like cogs on a machine.
そうだね。これも9に見えるんだけど、多分そうなるとこれで、ここが6に見えるでしょ。これがここに来なきゃいけないから、 こういうことね、こういうことね。あー、これがずれちゃってる。12、これがずれちゃってて、これを戻して、これをこう動かして、これなかなか理屈は分かったんだけど、動かすあれが難しいね。一回リセットしようか。
Reset the puzzle.
横が勝手に動くわけでしょ。で、多分この12っていうのがここに合わせなきゃいけないでしょ。で、これをこっちに動かさなきゃいけないわけで、そうすると、こっちをちょっと動かして、こう、そっかそっか、これはこれでいいから、で、これをちょっと、こっちに動かして、これをこう動かして、これをこう動かして、いや、これを一回戻す。そうすると、まあ、間違えた。これをこうして、これをこうして、こっちを一回戻してから、こう。どうだ
No, that was it.
よし、いったぞ。
Nice work.
思わずもう真剣に考えてしまった。
What's in the box?
A little tool thing? But I'm not actually sure what it is.
望遠鏡っぽいね。なんかに取り付けるやつっぽいね。
A wooden trunk that opens up into a full desk.
便利だな。でも重そうだな。
I want one.
あ、でも確かにちょっと欲しいかもしれない。
There's a metal plaque on the bench.
Is there a message engraved on it?
I think there was at one point,
ということは今削れてないのか。
but someone scratched it off. A pointless little stone tower.
I don't know. Might be a good hiding place.
Want to play hide and seek?
I could be persuaded.
仕事しろ、仕事。
It's Tangle Tower. Or at least it's the
ああ、
mansion
そ
at
っか。こ
the
こで
base of
タングルタウ
Tangle
ンがここか
Tower.
ら見えてんのか。あと、
It's a big stone dais.
Biggest one I've ever seen. First one, too.
A giant glowing gemstone full of plants.
AKA a greenhouse.
ああ、温室ね。多分温室がこっちなんだよ。まず先温室行ってみますか。誰もいない。い
This one's in a little pot.
や、そんなことない、いる。
Okay, that is definitely not edible.
It looks like a gemstone. Don't you think?
これなんかのヒントなの？土が青色ってなんかやばそうなんだけど。っていうか、これ
A
はな
little
んだ？
chart of. Actually, I have no idea what it's about.
これもなんかのヒント臭いな。スクショ撮っとく？一応撮っておきましょうか。 よし。
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot.
なんかね、この辺が全部ね、ヒントになっていくと思うんだよね。じゃあ、とりあえずね、探索
It's
先。あ、こ
glass,
れガラスなの？
but I can't see through it.
Total oxymoron.
I am not.
Hanging baskets. They're so high up.
To you, maybe.
You're only 2 inches
あ
taller
な
than
たは
me.
私より5センチ高いだけでしょ。身長
2
低い男
inches
性に言っちゃい
makes
けない。
all the difference.
Hanging baskets.
To you,
You're
maybe.
only
2 inches makes all.
この辺は？
Is that fruit? Shape
Too
it.
shiny to be fruit.
そう
I
ね。
think it's glowing a little too.
ランプかな？
Safe to eat, do you think?
I'm gonna say no.
で、なんかね、何気にね、ここに人がいるんですよ。お、目光った。
Don't move. We're being watched.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too big to hide in the bushes.
庭師さんかな？
Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall we just stand around staring at each other?
Right. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. And the guy hiding behind me is Detective
情け
Grimore.
ないな、グリモ
Who
ー
are
さ
you?
ん。
Fitzfellow, the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so tall?
I don't know.
知らないよね、身長の高さがなんでそんなに高いのかなんて。
You work here as the gardener.
I don't get paid to do it.
金はもらっていいの。
It's just
園芸。
my
まあなんかね、
area
フ
of
ォ
interest.
ローの名字を持っているっていうことは、フォロワーさんか？
Kinda weird.
ここの一族なんだろうね。
Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
草よ。
Of what? Poison?
It's not poisonous, not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, animals eat the plants. Anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like condense it as if you were
わかんなかっ
talking
たんだ
to
ね。
a slightly stupid person?
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA. Sometimes.
やばくないそれ。
Alteration? Like mutation?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal.
ど
Just
うして
nature.
そんなとこに住んでん
And
のこの
you're
人
the
たち。
local expert on all this stuff?
No. I'm just the gardener.
なんでそんなとこに住んでんだろうね。
I was in my greenhouse, watering and weeding.
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little later.
ペネロペが来た。
She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too much. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering and weeding.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
供述を聞こう。
I was up in the rooftop garden. It was quiet. And then, it wasn't.
屋上の庭園で
I
繋が
can't
ってないのか
describe
ね
it.
隣のポイント
Could
だ
have
け
been
ど
a scream, but it didn't sound human.
人間の発するような音
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
We?
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked. That's normal. She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded. We became
つまり
concerned.
扉を蹴
You
破
kicked the
っ
door
て
down?
入ったのは
I did.
この
Poppy and I went
フィッ
in.
ツさん。
Freya was right there, laying on her back. Flora was there too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she
なんでだよ。
snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
まあもろもろ聞いてみましょうか。
I like Flora. I hope she's all right.
Do you think she had anything to do with the murder?
There's no way. She wouldn't willingly cause any additional suffering for anyone.
自分以外に対しても
Felix is a contradiction. His loyalties are placed firmly within the realm of materialism,
お金
money,
やまあ
property.
現
But his
金な
ego
人ではある
relies on
ね
an
なのに夢見て
entirely
るよね
fraudulent self-image, don't you think?
I was just about to say the same thing.
Fifi doesn't like me.
What did you do?
I'm not sure. If you find out, maybe you can let me know. She questioned me,
About what?
my work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No, she hasn't touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me, I can tell. She was always kind to me. She'd come into the greenhouse when I was working, sometimes by herself, sometimes with Poppy. I think they were just bored at first. Eventually, they started asking questions.
About what?
Poppy wanted to learn about flowers. Freya, she used to ask me about the
虫につい
insects.
て
Insects.
One of my jobs is to protect plants from things that might eat them. Freya brought me this little glass box,
そういえば、
leaves and
ビバリウムがあっ
twigs
たね。
inside. She'd say,
フレイ
put
ヤの
all
部
the
屋に
troublemakers in there. Every day I'd put a handful of beetles and other things in the box. Then she'd come along and take it away.
どこかへ持っていくでもあれ
I
空だった
didn't
よ
really
な
understand her, but she was always kind.
虫を何かに必要としていたってことフレイヤ
Have you met this guy, Fitz? Shifty eyes, doesn't say a lot. Totally suspicious, if you ask me.
本人に言うかい
Me.
Yeah, it was a joke. I was joking.
Oh, I see.
伝わってねよしじゃあこの辺のもの見ましょう
This is a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
なるほ
And it
ど
makes the fruit grow all shiny and gemstony.
Sometimes, you never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny and edible fruit?
You look at it.
でもこれ水の影響でこうなったってことか
You ever seen this before, Fitz?
No, but I don't normally go into Fifi's room.
待って
That's not where we found it.
Oh, I just thought it looks like it belongs to her. Looks like someone doesn't want you to read that book.
That's the main thing making me want to read it.
Penelope knows about birds.
Penelope
You should
さん
ask her instead.
なるほど
Actually, I wanted to ask you about something. There's a plant mentioned on this page, see?
あそうだね
Do you have any? In the greenhouse?
No, I don't grow that
それ
anymore.
はもう育
I've
ててない
tried in the past. It's incredibly difficult, even for me. I could never get it to live more than a couple of weeks.
Fitz, one of these drawings is of you? In the rooftop garden, I think? With Poppy.
Mm-hmm. Are we done?
そうだで終わった
It's Fifi and Freya.
Don't you think Poppy should be in the photo too?
Maybe, maybe not. She doesn't really like crowds.
2 people isn't a crowd.
Right, but if she was in the photo, then it'd be 3.
Checkmate.
まあ奇数ってねなかなか難しいよね
Freya's best work, in my opinion. Although, the photo doesn't carry the same energy as the real thing.
What do you think it's a painting of?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the subject matter?
ああ
What's
絵の
that
テ
big
ーマ
red
か
thing?
Oh, I don't think it's that kind of painting.
そういう類の絵ではない
That's quite sweet, really. Felix made that? Huh. There's something off about this.
なんつうだか
What is it?
おかしい
Why don't you take another look at Flora's room?
ほうほう
You think we missed a clue up there?
Not exactly.
なんかちょっと
Paints
進
are
むぞ
different to flowers.
I'd say so, yeah.
At any time, flowers can bloom with perfect, faultless colors. Red, blue, white. With paint, once you've tainted a color by mixing it with others, not even the most skilled painter can return it to its pure form. It's an egg with feet.
うんはいそうです
It was locked, but we opened it. But it was empty.
Fun story.
それで終わりでこれ多
That
分ポッ
looks
キー
like it
さん
might belong to Poppy. That belongs to Poppy.
So why is it up in Flora's tower?
I'm not sure.
なんかプレゼントしたとか言ってたよね。
What do you think that is in Flora's hand?
I don't know. It does look like a knife, but Flora wasn't holding anything at all when I saw her after the murder. But there's something bothering me.
ファンのことで気になることがある。
What?
When we went into Flora's room, she wasn't standing in this
立ってい
position.
なかった。
Well, she probably would have moved around a little bit by then.
She wasn't standing at all. She was kneeling on the floor. That looks like it might belong to Poppy. It's of no interest to me,
ああ、これに対して
but I
何の興味
overheard Poppy and Freya
ポ
talking
ピー
about
と
it
フレイヤ
once.
がこの話
What
を
were
して
they
いた。
saying?
They were arguing about something, but I can't remember the details.
ポピーさんあたりに話聞けばこのパズルの謎も解けるかね。
Fitz's room is unlocked. It's up in the fellow tower.
This could be interesting.
後から向かいます。ここら辺なんかパズルみたいなのないのかな。
It's glad I am not.
あ、なんかいる。
That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic powers.
というわけでちょっとこの人の部屋行ってみましょう。そういえば殺人が起きた日ポピーと一緒にいたって言ってたよね。
It's a little handmade card. Inside it says, to Fitz, from PP.
ポピーか。
That poor plant.
Looks pretty healthy to me.
Healthy, but sad. I think it would rather be outside.
An empty glass and an empty
ていう
plate.
かしかし何にもない部屋だ
Looking
な。
at it is making me want to cry.
Why?
I don't know.
でここになんか隠してるものがある。
Hello.
Not hidden very well, is it?
Doesn't need to be. It's locked. It's a combination lock. Sort of.
まず紙を正しく並べてみようか。こうだね、こうだね。ああ、いや、こう。こう。こんな形ある？なんかこういろいろとつなげられそうな感じあるよね。こうでしょ？水玉がある。あるじゃんこの形。水玉があり、これかこの形があり、この形があって。そうじゃないな。この場合こっちか。いや、あった。他のマークあったよ。多分こう。この形がここにある。ここ最後のあと1個。これで見えてくる模様がってことだと思うんだよな。これはさっきあったから。 は水玉が出た模様だもんね。こうか。これかな。そうだ。あ、いったいったいった。
Neat. Anything in there?
Yeah, it's wrapped in a cloth. Hold on. Huh, that's kind of ominous.
何が見つかったの？園芸用スコップ。ハートを囲む挟むように2つのイニシャルが P だけど F は何？誰？
It's locked, but it leads outside.
I thought we were halfway up a tower.
We are.
What's that thing by the handle?
よく見てみる。多分ね、庭にスライドして中のタイルを正しいスロットへ移動しよう。ヒントなさすぎないこれ。こういうこと？
Nothing. Still
The
locked.
tiles have all got that same sun symbol on them.
Those moon symbols in the slots.
Maybe they're connected, but also not connected.
Nope. It's
Maybe
not.
the information we
So
need
where is it?
somewhere else.
ああ、どっかにヒントがあるってことかこれ。
Ah,
You know, I think
what?
this-
The whole thing?
yeah, the duality of the sun
If
and
you say so.
ちょっとヒント探す
let's
に、
come back once we
うん、ちょっ
know.
とヒント探すのに一回出ようかこれ。で、まだね回ってないところがあるので先に回ってみましょう。もしかしたらねポピーさんのとこにあるのかもしれない。あ、いたポピーさん。
Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I like them. It's like a little parade of floating spirits.
紙のランタンってちょっとさ雰囲気あるよね。
Oh, whatever it is, it's playing a little.
Well, it is the music room. He's got to practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
いや割れたガラス。本当だ。しかもまた半魚人みたいな像だ。
Oh, whatever it is, it's
Well, it's got a
what's with all the broken
これ
glass?
も落ちてるやつか。ほうほう。
Who plays the violin? I
It's
want.
pretty dusty.
使われて
So
ないん
I'm
だね。
guessing nobody.
であち
Sheet
こちに
music. It's
楽
handwritten.
譜が落
That's
ちて
a
る。
lot of notes. Looks pretty difficult.
これあれかな？ポピーさんが
Probably
作
while
ってる
they're on
音
the
楽かな？
One old
そ
wooden
んなところに
bookcase.
つけてんの？
Yep.
25 dry old books.
Mm-hmm.
4 lit candles.
Yeah.
Am I the only one seeing the problem?
いや危ないと思うよ。うん。
That's just.
What else would it be?
というわけでポピーさんお話をさせてもらっていいですか？
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
うんだと思っております。
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
What's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of
結
dedicated
構アニメー
practice.
ションしっかりしてるよね。これすごいよな。あなた自身について。
I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower.
うんうん。
Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
ところで君たち
You
どうして
get on with
塔
the
を分けて
fellows?
一緒に暮らしてる
Two
の？
of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower?
私たち
I
3
don't
人とも
need to be
去年
rude.
19
It's
歳になっ
just-
た。
If you're 19,
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely.
出て行きたい。でもなんか
Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi, things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer.
でもなんかさ、この塔を出たらさ、遺産とかのさ、権利がなくなるみたいなこと言ってたんだよね。それもまた不思議な話だよね。
3.5 hours of piano practice. Soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room.
あ、こ
When I
こ音楽
make
室って書いてあっ
mistakes,
た
I
から、
like
自
to
分
make
の部
them
屋
in
は別にある
private.
よね、そりゃ。
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked
彼
either
女は
way.
無視するつ
So
も
I
りでい
went
てあった
back
けど、
upstairs
私は忘れてたっ
and
て言っ
out
てる
into
よ
the
ね。
moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that.
なんか難しいことになって、なんかね、この二人ね、恋仲っぽい気がするんだよね。フィズさんとフビ
Fitz
ー
and
さ
I
ん。
were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I
まる
did.
で
I
気づい
didn't
てな
know
かっ
what
た
to
っぽい。
do. So I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been
ああ、無視されたと
crying.
思って泣いてたみた
I
いなこと
told
言っ
her
たも
what
ん
had
ね。
happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The three of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15
あ、ここで
minutes.
血液だっ
After
たっ
she
て
was done, she went
気づ
back
いたって話
upstairs
した
and
ね。
I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it.
というわけで、人物についていろいろ聞きましょう。
Softly does the flower grow, all in time, and time is slow. Rest a seed within the earth, but do not rush its gentle birth.
詩的だな、お
Hour
い。
by hour, day by day, tune your heart to nature's way. Heart of head, but free of mind, unimprisoned, unconfined. With starry eyes, she sees beyond, behind our walls, beneath our pond. A soul untied, it's hers, it's free. Was then, is now, will
フビー
ever
さん
be.
めっちゃ詩的ですな。
With surging tide, the waves are thrown, an entity of all its own. But on its surface you may see, reflected in the waters be, the orchestrator, pale and still, pulling strings, enacting will. Between the lips a silver spoon, a story written
あ
all
あ、
too
こ
soon.
の絵の
The chosen
継承権ある
dwelling
みたい
of
です
her
ね。
heart, unjustly chosen to depart. Lost her liberation lays
なんかあった
in
の
the
か、フォ
center
ロワー系。
of a maze. Foregone drifter, holding fast, days as shadow seeker past. Is it bravery or surrender, accepting that your world will render nothing darker than the gloom? Some four walls make around a
う
room.
んまあ冒険家はやめてやっぱしただの無職であるみたいではあるけど。
Needless noise from tongues expel, unless within the mouth they dwell, the spoken word unfit for dealing, with the shifting form of feeling, stand unblinking in the face of taciturn and soundless
フローラさんに
space.
何があったの？マジフローラさんに何があったの？
Don't look at me. I didn't break it.
Does anybody else use the music room?
Yes. I don't know who, but I can tell when somebody else has touched the piano.
ああ、でもね、実際ね、他の人が触るとその力加減とかでね、ピアノ線とかがちょっと変化してわかるとかいう話も聞いたことがある。
Is that a gardening trowel?
Yeah, I think it belongs to Fitz.
Really? Huh. Never seen him use it. Oh, you've been to the greenhouse? What did you think?
Impressive, I guess. But kind of unsettling with Fitz lurking in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, he does that.
昔から癖なんだね
Did。you find that in Fifi's room?
それがフィフィの部屋のじゃないんだよね。
Should we have?
No, it's just... It looks like something she'd use, don't you think? That belongs to Flora, I think.
フローラの本なのこれ。
Is that Fifi's diary? I'm sure I've seen it in her room before.
That's where we found it.
Have you ever read it? Do you know what's written in there?
Nope. I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate me
まあ
invading
これ
her
持って後でフィフィ
privacy.
に聞きに行きま
I
しょう。
thought you and Fifi were close friends.
Yeah, we are. It's just Fifi's gotten kinda impatient with me recently.
Do you know why?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure she'd tell you if you asked.
Oh, she would. She'd give it to me straight. Probably why I've been avoiding it.
ああ、ちょっとこじれてる感があるな。
Hey, that's me. Not a bad likeness.
It looks like you're standing in a rose bush.
Is there something wrong with that?
This is a photo of Fifi and Freya, right?
Yeah,
How come you're not in it? You're friends with them too, aren't you?
I'm not really one for photographs.
破れてるのも気になるんだ
Fifi
よ
looks
な
like。she really admires Freya.
Fifi's loyalty to Freya is unshakable.
忠誠心ときたか。
I think everybody sees something different.
Did Freya ever tell you what she saw in it?
Not exactly. She said something about it being from a recurring nightmare.
Sorry, but if it was from a nightmare,
そうね。
why would you paint it and
また
leave
見
it
ちゃう
in
じゃん。
front of your bed?
Maybe she wanted to take control of it. Giving something a physical form can make it easier to deal
あれ
with.
よね。不可思議なものに
Sometimes.
名前を与えることで怖くなくする。妖怪が生まれたのはそういう経緯であるなんて話もあったね。うん。
Is that supposed to be Flora?
Possibly?
Oh, how nice. Whose paints are those?
They belong to Felix, I think.
何が言いたいの？ねえ、何が言いたいの？
Freya would always load up the palette with all the exact colors she was gonna need. I think it helped her zone out and focus on the actual painting itself. Like getting all your sheet music lined up before playing a long piece.
Right. So the blob of black paint in the middle, that was for painting Flora?
Flora's dress, yeah. She wears even more black than I do.
いや、だとしたらおかしくない？なんか色多くない？
Why is the glass cracked down one side?
それはこっちも聞きたい。
Natural wear and tear, maybe?
No way. Freya took good care of her stuff. What was inside?
Nothing.
Huh.
Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody?
でもね、みんな君のだって言うんだよ。
It was my mother's originally.
ほうほう。
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like Flora was holding a knife with blood on the tip.
You don't think that anymore?
No, it was a stupid thing to say. The room was dark. I was in shock.
もしかしてこれを言ったことでなんかこじれ
But
た？
it was blood on the tip. If you hadn't said anything, maybe Fifi wouldn't have checked.
Exactly. It's stupid.
But we would have missed out on an important clue.
Is it a clue? Really? Tell me how it's a clue. Tell me how it helps. Nothing about the knife makes any sense. It's just freaking everyone out. Wish I'd never
いや
said anything.
これによっておかげで赤い絵の具が本来空っぽになってたっていうのが分かったから無駄じゃなかったとは思うんだよな。
What do you make of this statue?
I know that's the only harp in the whole of Tangle Tower.
Hmm?
I've never actually seen a real one.
Maybe it's from before your time.
Oh, definitely. See how old this
ハープ
statue
はこ
is?
の家にない
What
の
about the symbols? One of them looks like piano keys.
Yeah, weird. This is mine.
Really?
No, well, yes, it was.
私のも
I
の
gave it to Freya about a year ago.
What was on it?
Nothing. It was blank. Freya said she wanted to record something.
Any idea how it ended up underwater?
Maybe someone wanted to destroy it, but got really lazy.
じゃあここに取られてたものってなんか重要な意味があったってこと？
All right. Poppy's bedroom
I
is
wonder
on.
what's in there.
まあ、次行きましょうか。ここがペネロペさんが大きな鳥小屋。全部鳥小屋。
They're bird cages. But the birds are coming and going freely.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is.
なんかいるなん
Check
かい
out
る。
that butterfly.
Looks evil.
なんか目っぽいよね。
Wow,
基本的に
judgmental.
蝶の模様ってそういうところで捕食されないようにしてるとは聞くけど。
My little writing desk. It's kind of.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle. I don't like mirrors. They steal your soul.
How do you get your hair so symmetrical without using a mirror?
まあ、
I do
疑
by
問
weight. I can feel if one side is heavier than
Imagine
the
it.
other.
マジで鏡使ってないの？
Bird diagrams. Hand painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
というわけでペネロペさん。
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
あ、染めてんだね、やっ
Detectives
ぱり。
don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth,
まあ、
don't
ペ
you
ネロペ
think?
だからな、名前は。
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends
待って、
are birds.
24歳？
Where to?
嘘やろ。
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying.
お前さ、ポピーの母
Ornithology,
親
they
だろ？
call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you
旦
talking
那さんかな？
about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you
え、
see.
待って、あれ、
Fitz
娘だと思ってた。違
The
うの？
very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our 2 families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether.
ちょっと人間関係が複
I
雑
awoke
化してきた
early
ぞ。
and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
400は
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course. And they often do. But I think they just like the company.
本当に答えるか？あなたが一緒にいたいのね。
Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
でその時には
Uncle
もうみん
Pointer
ない
was
た
there.。Fitz, too. Standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
というわけでメンバーにいろいろ聞いてました。
Oh, did you talk to Poppy already?
Yeah,
いとこな
a
の
little
かな
bit.
これだ
And
と
did you make any notes of what she told you?
Yeah, I did.
Lovely. Burn them. It'll all be lies.
Why would Poppy lie to us?
Because that's what she does. She's a snake. Looks like one, too.
Don't you think you're being a little unfair, Penny?
She started it.
先に言い始めたどういうこと
Oh, she's beautiful.
お前だよ。
Who is
し
she?
がちさん強えな。
Is that me? Isn't he strapping?
He is big.
And so brooding.
本当に好きなんですかあな
Kinda
た
sulky, yeah.
I can never tell what's going on in that beautiful head of his.
It just sounds like you don't know him very well.
I don't remember asking for your input. She'd sit in the aviary, first thing in the morning,
ほうほう
and paint the birds. Sometimes she'd ask me their names.
Freya was interested in studying bird species too?
No, just wanted to know their names. Isabel, Clementine, Myrtle, Lysandre, Genevieve.
Got it, thanks.
For
よ
my
々しい名前だな
21st birthday, she gave me a framed painting. All the birds from a single spring, with their names written underneath. I can't begin to tell you how much I've treasured it.
Sounds like you two were close.
I feel like I always struggled to articulate my admiration for her. But she had a way of understanding
なんだろう
unspoken
な
things.
プレイヤーを悪く言う人が今んとこいないよね
She's a most unsavory little... She was incredibly rude about my appearance.
Which part? The giant bird arms or...
If I were her, I'd go easy on the judgment of others. I mean, look at her. She looks like the ghost of a scarecrow. I just wish Uncle Pointer would tell her to behave herself.
Professor Pointer? Why him?
Oh, it was Uncle that called her in. She's his responsibility.
依頼者
Did
を
you
ポイン
not
タ
know
ー教
that?
授なのなるほど
She mostly ignores me, if I'm honest.
How come?
Well, we're not quite on the same intellectual level.
Oh, I mean, well, you don't need to.
Oh, no. It's quite all right. I'm comfortable with it.
なんか2つの屋敷に立ってる2つの塔に住んでる2つの家だけどさなんか仲あんまり良くなさそうにも見えるよね
I must say, I really don't care for the den of self-delusion that he's retreated into. People are better off when they just let themselves be themselves. Between you and me, I think Felix is secretly rather miserable. A fellow bird enthusiast. She's quite the expert, truth be told. Studied them professionally at one point. I think her father taught her.
Are you friends with Flora?
A little bit.
A little bit friends.
She's one for the peace and quiet. I dare say I'm a little too loud for her.
I can see that.
I do admire her, though, really. Always felt like she could have done better than settle for Felix.
辛辣だな。
I said it.
でもな、まあ無職の自称冒険家と一緒になったって考えると、もっといい人いたんじゃないのって言いたくなる気持ちはわかる。っていうわけで、今度道具をいろいろ聞いてみましょう。
Goodness me. Poppy really doesn't take care of her belongings, does she?
It wasn't in
ポッピーに
Poppy's
辛辣だよ
room.
な。
It was in the little pond in the garden.
Exactly! Hardly the place for it.
いや、別に片付けたわけじゃないと思うんだけど。
I'm sure I've read about this creature somewhere. Don't remember anything about him playing the harp, though.
で、症状
I
が。
doubt Freya intended it, but the overall effect is a little unsettling. Don't you think?
まあ言いたいことはわかる
It's。Flora that's the problem. She's an inescapably haunting presence, bless her.
いや、フローラがどうのっていうより、わざとそんな風に書いてる気もするんだよな、これ。
Poppy's gramophone. She's had it for a long time. As a young child, she'd call it her mama phone, on account of it belonging to her mother.
That's cute.
Oh yes, adorable.
すっごい。なんでこんなにポピー嫌ってんの？多分いとこかなんかでしょ？
How terrible.
You recognize it?
The color scheme. 3 different pinks. Obscene.
そこかよ。ダサいとかそこかよ。
Gaudy old thing, isn't it? Flora seems very fond of it. I've never understood why. But then I could say the same thing about her husband.
Heyo!
まあこのね、カヤン卵フローラのやつだしね。でフレイヤの絵の具。
Freya doesn't take very good care of her paints, does she? But then she was always rather bohemian. Had her own priorities.
で、筆とパレット。
That's rather sad.
まあなんか木彫りの人形とか聞いてもどうしようもない気もするんだけど、ちょっとこれ聞いてみよう。
Did Fit show you that?
Not exactly.
We found it hidden under his bed.
Ah, right. Haven't seen this one in a while. He lives in the music room,
って
doesn't
こと
he?
音楽室入ってる。
Currently.
現在はね。どういうこと？
Ooh, delightful. More of a gemstone than a fruit, isn't it?
Inedible, too, I think.
Yes. At one point, I thought Fitz might be growing them to sell them. But honestly, I think he just likes the way they look.
なんかね、ここの湖の水を使うとこうやって植物が遺伝子異常を起こすみたいで。これもなんかのヒントなのかな？
I don't know what that is.
とりあえずね、全部聞いてみましょう。
Ooh, a secret diary.
That's our guess, too.
Excellent. Somebody taken an interest in extinct
あ、やっぱ絶滅したんだ、この鳥。
Extinct.
Oh, yes. The book is very old. Most of the birds in it are long gone.
Well, what about this bird, though? The ink dip.
This one, well, it was thought to be extinct for a long time. Then one was found here at Tangle Tower.
So it's not extinct.
You misunderstand. It was the last one. The very last.
Oh.
しかもなんか存在してるといろんな鳥に攻撃されて食べる種ねやつもね、たった1種類の木の実しか食わねえとかずいぶん偏屈家だったみたいですね、この鳥。
Very nice.
You've seen these before?
Yes.
All of them. Even this one of...
Yes. Freya was very talented, even at that age.
Do you know how old this photo is?
Not sure. Must be a couple of years at
2
least.
年ほど前。
Sometime before Fiona settled on her current style.
ああ、そうだね、フィフィ、メガネ今変えてるもんね、自作のなんかちょっと便利なメガネ。
I know a lot of people rather like this painting, but it's a little much for me. I find it overbearing.
まあ威圧的
And
な
for
感
some
じわか
reason,
る。
it makes me feel bad for Freya. I think she was more troubled than we knew.
まあせっかくだからこの人形とかもついてきますか。
A bit vain to carve wooden figurines of oneself, isn't
まあ
it?
ちょっと言いたいことはわかるけどさ。
If I'm not mistaken, that little red and white one is supposed to be a bird of some kind.
あ、そうね。赤と白じゃなきゃいけないってすごいこだわってたもんな。
We can get into Penny's room now.
Now, like, right
向
now?
かってみましょうか。ペニーの部屋。部屋にも鳥いるんだ。あと割とおしゃれさんな
Ever
んだ
get the
ね。
feeling you're being watched?
The mannequins don't have eyes, though.
That's not a comforting sentence.
There's
That's
something weird about it. It just feels out of place.
間違いな感じがする。まあちょっとわかる。この不思議な青色の土ってさ、あれなんだよね。温室にあった土と同じなんだよね。いつさんからもらった？
It's a birdhouse.
Are those real birds?
よく見てみよう。
Nope, they're wooden.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted to use it?
いや、これね、多分ね、入れ替えのやつなんだと思うんだけど。色の合わせかな。多分ね、そういうことだと思うんだ。
That's the one.
よし、一発成功。あれ、僕すごくない？あ、ちなみにどういう理屈かというと、多分混ぜ合わせた色の状態で考えました。
Hey, not bad.
あ、ワンちゃんも拍手ありがとう。
Did the door open? What's in there?
何が入ってたんだ？ん？破れた紙切れはあの女を捕まえてやる？え、どういうこと？
Traveling cases.
Empty. All of them.
なんか旅行かもすごい多い
All of
な。
them.
That bed. It's like something from a fairy tale.
Does it feel warm over here? Or is it just me?
No, you're right.
ベッ
Maybe
ド
the
が暖
bed
房
has
だ。
some
冬
kind
場
of
が良さ
heater.
そうだけどさ。
It's not coming from the bed. It's coming from the wall.
A little tea set. Looks recently used.
One of the cups has tea in it.
What's in the other one?
Birdseed.
鳥とご一緒してるんですかね。あれだ、ポッピーの部屋も行ってみようか。いや、確かに暗い部屋だ。バラだ。
How very traditional.
Yeah, weird.
ヒズがポッピーにバラを渡してるようなのもあったよな。確か。これ。ベッド。
That is the bed of a
なんで
vampire.
だよ。
I thought vampires slept in coffins.
This is a vampire who needs firm support for their lower
腰
back.
回りのサポートがしっかりされて嫌な吸血鬼だな、それも。お年を召して腰やってるのかな。あ、部屋
There's a
の
name for this kind of piano. You know, these ones that stand upright.
しかしずいぶん薄暗い部屋だな。
It's a metronome for keeping time.
メトロノームかこれ。よく見てみる。なんかありそう。
It's ticking. Is it a bomb?
なんでだよ。
It's supposed to be ticking. Not sure what those symbols are,
そうだ
though.
なんかね、記号意味がありそうだよね。ボタンを押してすべてのダイヤルが一番上の輪にはまるように回転させよう。ああ、なるほど。こういうことか。あー これでいい。いった。
I did it. What do I win?
Not bad. What happened?
A little hatch unlocked in the back.
Anything in there?
Mm-hmm. It's a photograph. Part of a photograph.
そうだね、これ。まさかこれポピー？あ、今と全然違うじゃん。え、何があったの、ポピーに。
There's something about that pink cassette tape. Something suspicious.
そうだね。
Let's ask Poppy about it.
ちょっと聞きに行ってみようか。そう。でね、このピンクのカセットなんだけど、ポピーはね、私のじゃない、知らないって言ってきたのよ。
I need to confirm something with you, Poppy.
Confirm away.
What can you tell us about this cassette tape? Is it yours?
It belongs to Freya. She liked to have music playing while she was painting, you know.
And do you know what kind of music is on this tape?
No idea. Acid jazz?
It's piano music. Sounds an awful lot like your music, to be honest.
Sure it doesn't belong to you?
Why are we even talking about this? Cassette tapes have been redundant for a good few years now.
The tape was found at the crime scene. It was in the gramophone.
ボロボロの蓄音機に。
It's not mine. I never own anything
さ
like
っきの
that.
写真にあったもんね、ピンクのカセッ
Not
ト。
my color.
You used to like these
そう、
colors.
写真が見つかったもんね。
Ridiculous.
We need a clue to compare with the cassette tape. Something that proves Poppy used to like these colors.
よし。多分ね、この破れた写真。
Let's take a closer look at this.
ここに。で、まあ、メッセージ、日々、ピンクのカセットテープ。ピンクのカセットテープは現場で発見され、写真のポピーが使っている。と合致するで。ピンクのカセットテープは事件現場で発見され、写真のポピーが使っている。ピンクのカセットプレイヤーと合致する。これでいいんじゃないかな。
The pink cassette tape found at the crime scene matches the pink cassette player used by Poppy in this old photo.
どうだ、ポ
That
ピ
is
ー。
not me.
まだ言う
Yeah, it
か。
is. I'll prove it.
これ。よし、ぴったし。なんで破っちゃったんだろう。
You look a little different, but Fifi and Freya are pretty recognizable. It's clearly a photo of you with your two best friends. Why'd you tear it up? And then hide it?
I think the answer is pretty straightforward.
もう見た目、この見た目で痛くな
Poppy
い。
doesn't want to look like that anymore.
That's it.
それだけじゃなさ
Makes
そう
this
だよ
whole thing
ね。
seem kind of irrelevant.
Maybe. It depends on the reason.
The reason she doesn't want to
見
look
れば
like
嫌
that
だという
anymore.
理由。
The passage of time is a powerful thing.
お、
Hold on. This means that pink cassette tape does belong to you, Poppy.
It used to. I recorded some piano music onto it and gave it to Freya as a gift. Years ago.
Freya could have easily been listening to this tape at the exact moment she was
だいぶ昔投げ
killed.
たっぽいね。
There's gotta be a connection between the tape, the gramophone, and the murder.
There's one other thing I want to know. How did it get that crack down the middle?
I have no idea.
なんか蓄音機にひび入った時に一緒にひび入った気がするよね。というわけで最後に行ってない部屋、多分ポピーのお父さんポインター教授の部屋に行きましょう。 変な動きしてる変なおっさんがいる。ちょっとこのさつく前にこの辺見ようか。
You know, I've always wanted one of those.
多分これあれだよね。天体儀っていうか、太陽を中心に惑星がどう動いてるのかっていうのが見れるやつだよね。
mechanical solar system? What?
I would look at it.
じゃあよく見るのよく見てみようか。
Wait a minute.
なんか思ったと違うぞ。
Earth in the middle, sun on the outside. How old is this thing?
何これ？天動説の頃のやつ。地球を中心にして惑星、太陽、月を回転させよう。あ、地動説か。これヒントがないんだよな。あ、なるほど、そういうことか。意味が分かった。まずこうする。これぐらいかな。こういうことじゃないかな、これ。影の形を一緒にしろってことでしょ。
I got it.
お、いったいった。
I'm impressed. Did you hear that? Something.
There's a little hatch underneath? What's
A
in
bunch
there?
of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
何かの研究、誰かの研究。黄金の虫。待って。外骨格が金と約 90% 同じ鉱物でできている虫。こんなんが大量にいたら金の需要がすごいことになりそうだけど。95デシベルって結構大きな音では。
It's tidier than mine. The notebook is untouched. It's
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off
まあ
blank.
そうだけどさ。まあ、というわけでこの変な動きしてる教授に話しかけますか。
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're
すいません、そ
whispering.
こまで耳良くないっす。
So quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
待って待って。
You find yourself
近くで寝
standing
てい
in
る
the
友人が
astronomy
めっちゃいび
tower
書いてん
of
ですよ。
one
これ。
Professor
そうだな。てかもうこん
Percival
な時間なの
Pointer.
か。
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
さて。思った以上に明るい教授な。あと面白い髪型してんだこの人。
Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh no, that's just a little
Shimikai.
hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17
じゃあ
books.
仕事じゃねえか
Just a
も。
little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos,
またこの
working to
扱いづらい人が来
translate
たな。
its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
すごい嫌味だよね。宇宙によろしくって伝えといてって。
The day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine.
I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening.
あ、そうね。急いで行ったっていう話してたよね。他の人が。
I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
それはね、多少あるんだけど。さてと、じゃあ人物のお話を聞きましょう。
A listless soul drifting through the ether.
そんな私的な文章はいいから。
Not sure. She's always been troubled. Comes from a dysfunctional family. I'd say you could ask her about it, but I think you might find that to be a bit of a dead end.
喋んないもんね、フローラさん。
He should learn to make the most of his lot in life. And he does have a lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends.
そして思った、これはフローラさんの方がフォロワー家の正当な血統で、ヒックスさんが結婚相手かな。後でちょっと家系図見てみるか。
Ah, yes, the heiress of Tangle Tower. Goodness knows what'll happen when she takes charge. I dare say she'll confiscate my telescope and replace it with a microscope.
She doesn't seem to be the type to impress her will on others.
Still, keep an eye on her. Dangerously intelligent, that one.
You sound jealous. Wait, are you two science rivals?
Oh no, we operate on very different wavelengths. Literally.
待って、タングルタワーの正当な後継者がフィフィっていうことは、この家自体はフォロワー家のものっていうこと？
Hard to read, that one, but she seems to know what she's doing.
She's kind of mean.
You know, I simply assumed all detectives were sharp, rigorous, and thorough. Then, of course, I met you.
すごい嫌味が来たな。
Nobody could deny her talent. She was remarkable, artistically gifted, but also highly intelligent.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know.
Was she ever interested in astronomy?
I don't think she was. The fault may well lie with me for failing to inspire her. But I think she was captivated by more tangible things here on Earth. My daughter loved her, Fiona, too. That said, in the last year or so, more and more I've begun to notice her by herself, wandering the gardens at the most peculiar hours. She must have explored every inch of the grounds 100 times over. Quite a restless spirit, I think. I'm surprised she chose to live at Tangle Tower as long as she did.
そして本来なんかいとこっていうか遠い親戚みたいな言い方されてたから、このタワーに対する継承権はフレイヤは持っていなかった。
What do you want me to say? He's the gardener.
He's a member of the family.
Yeah, but not the Pointer family.
そうね、フォロワー家だ
What
からね
happened to his parents, do you know?
His father, Flint, is Felix's brother.
だってフィックスなんて
Strange
ことはやっ
man.
ぱりフィックスの
Don't
方
think
がフォロワー
anybody
家の
knows
人
what
間。
happened to him, but he certainly doesn't live here anymore.
What about his mother?
Emily? I've not met her. She never actually married into the fellow family. Her relationship with Flint was, it was short-lived.
彼女とフリントは短い関係だった。っていうことはあれなの？嫁いでないっていうことは内縁の妻的でタワーの外に出てフィズさんができちゃって別れたってこと？
I don't especially want to talk about myself. Introspection often leads to vanity.
Wait, does it?
Why don't we discuss the
どうでもいい
moons
で
of
す。
Jupiter instead?
I'm not sure if we have time. Aren't there like 10 of them?
83.
Yeah, we don't have time.
そうだね、そんな話してる時間ないね。83個も聞いてらんないわ。
Ah, Penelope, our resident ornithologist.
Penny's your niece, is that right?
At this moment in time, until she marries the gardener.
She'll still be your niece.
But she'll depart from the world of the Pointers and join the Fellows. Like rats deserting a sinking ship.
どういうこと？この家やっぱなんかあんの？
My Poppy, my pride and joy. Exceptionally talented pianist from a young age. She... Hold on. Why is she on your list of suspects?
それこのタワーに
Because
住んでる
she's
からで
a
すよ。
Oh no, I can personally vouch for her innocence. She'd never... Well, the truth is, she loved Freya very dearly.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Poppy's mother?
Primrose? She was Flora's sister, a Remington by birth. The playing field has never really been even since she left.
Where did she go?
Away. She went away.
待って待って待って待って待って。フローラさんのお姉さんがポピーさんのお母さんってことは、フィフィとポピーはいとこなの？そしてなんでそんな狭い関係で？
That's all the statements.
そうね、供述は全部取れたけど。
Let's go over them all.
ちょっと見直してみる。どこまで行くの？どこまで行くの？どこまで行くの？なんで入り口まで戻ったの？容疑者の供述。
That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs.
I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do. So I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs. Just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Tangle Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi, too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other.
そうだね。とりあえず供述は見た。ちょっといろいろ話を聞きに行ってみようか。ちょっとこれ何？おう、ヒントか。話をしてみよう。聞けてない人物について聞いてみよう
I'll
か。
say this. He's well suited to physical labor.
That's a nice way to put it.
Fitz spends most of his time alone in the greenhouse. But I heard he's been breeding experimental flowers. In secret.
Whoa, scandal.
I just wonder if he's getting restless.
確かにね、湖の水を土に含ませて植物を育てることでどういう遺伝子異常が起きるのかっていう実験をしてる感はある。じゃあ
Professor Pointer is a respectable astronomer. Keeps himself to himself. What?
We're just surprised.
That was the most polite you've been about anyone.
しかもあなたの依頼人なんだよね、このポイント博士というか教授。
I find her rather embarrassing. Little more than a spoiled child.
Penny must be at least 25.
27.
27?
Makes it worse.
意外と言ってた。
Poppy has remarkable musical talent. She could be famous, wealthy even, if she wanted to.
She'd probably have to leave Tangle Tower first.
Quite.
そしてタワーから出て行きたがっている。というわけで。
This belongs to you, Hawkshaw?
Correct.
And, what is it?
It's my handheld microscope for up-close investigation work.
What do you magnify with it?
Trace particles, dust, oils, clothing fibers.
Have you used it here at Tangle Tower?
I have. I used it to examine the greenhouse only 2 days ago.
What were you looking for?
That is between myself and my client. The people here are surprisingly materialistic, considering how sheltered they are.
Materialistic?
Growing this fruit simply because it produces a gemstone-like material. For what possible purpose, other than financial gain?
You're speculating.
What would you do, Grimoire, if you could grow valuable stone straight from the earth?
僕なら育てます。でもさ、この育て方っていうのが広がっちゃうとさ、一気に価値下がっちゃうよね。
This is a potential murder weapon, is it not?
I don't know. I don't think the murderer would leave the murder weapon just lying around.
I think you'd be surprised as to what people leave lying around. Some breed of amphibious humanoid. Potentially bipedal. Although none of the statues show the creature's feet.
I guess we'll never know.
And you consider that important evidence, do you? These people really are ridiculous, aren't they? Who's that?
Not sure. It doesn't really look like anyone we've met so far.
Strange.
いや、実際、プピーさんだってもう分かってんだけどね。
Where did you find this?
Do you have any theories about where this might have been?
Or who might have had it?
I have several theories, but they are my theories, and I'm not going to share
話して
them.
くれてもいいじゃない。人物聞いた。ものは全部見た。で、供述とかは聞
Towards
い
the
てるから。
early evening, my
変
sounds
わ
of
ん
running,
ないんだね、これ
wailing.
は。と、ポインター教授と話しよう。グッズとかいろいろ見た気がするんだけどな。教授、ここは全部聞いてる。ああ、そっか、そういえば物について聞いてなかったね、一切。
So, we found some research. What's up with this golden beetle? Is this something you're studying?
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangle Tower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Well, it wasn't in the halls. It was in your astronomy tower.
もしかして、この虫を探してもらってる？
What a precious photograph. She hasn't changed a bit, has she?
Who?
Oh, if you don't know, perhaps I don't either.
いや、ポピーさんなのは分かってるけど。
Well now, that is most definitely none of my business. Quite possibly none of yours either.
じゃあ、
What kind of flower is that?
We're not sure.
こっちが聞き
I
たいんだ
think it
わ。
might be the only one of its kind.
Primrose would know. My wife was a floriculturalist. Best in the field.
奥さんが
That's
そ
a
っちの人だった
flower
の？
joke, but she was.
Interesting.
Curious creature, isn't it? Some sort of amphibious bipedal fish
イ
man.
ンテマスっていう単語しか出てこないんですけど。
Playing a trumpet, yes.
そうね。もう見たままの感想じゃない。
Oh, you found a murder weapon?
Steady on. It's just a gardening trowel.
Looks like a weapon to me.
みんな凶器のように見えるとか言うそうな。
Fitz seems rather keen to grow things like this in his greenhouse, doesn't he?
What's wrong with that?
Well, you can't eat it. Makes you wonder why he bothers at all.
そうね。まあ、たまたまできたのか、それともこれを狙って作ってるのか。
What's this?
It looks like it might be a telescope. Thought you might know something about it.
Well, it certainly is a
でも顕微鏡っ
telescope.
て言ってたよね、こ
It
れ。
has a part there to screw onto a tripod, you see? It's rather small, though. I'm not sure you could see many stars with it.
No, probably not.
じゃあ、鳥の図鑑。
That's a very old book, isn't it? Looks like someone could have taken better care of it.
I like the look of a well-read book. Better than one that's never been opened.
Ah, well put.
じゃあ、破れたし。
Poppy's two closest friends. Freya looks so innocent there.
ちょっと待って。無邪気に見えるなってどういうこと？何があったの、フレイヤに。
These were drawn by Freya? She must have drawn that one of Hawkshaw rather recently.
I guess.
まあ、北昇さんの絵があるわけだからね。
Freya was well acquainted with the abstract, I'll say that much.
What does it look like to you?
To me, it's a big, red thing.
What a fascinating interpretation.
He's right, though. It is a big red thing.
まあ、もうそのまんまだよね。見たまんまじゃねえか。肖像画にも聞いてみるか。
I find that painting to be in rather bad taste.
Oh, yeah?
The knife with real blood on it? The whole thing is rather vulgar.
ふむふむ。
I haven't seen that tape for a
Sabi-sa.
long time. Who broke it?
No idea.
Ah, well, possessions are fleeting, my friends.
蓄音機。
Pointer property originally, purloined by the
違う
fellows.
と思うんだけど。
Typical.
盗んだわけじゃなくて、なんかお渡ししてたみたいなんだけどな。
A very old statue indeed.
てかこれは
I'd
足あるよ。
recommend you leave it well alone. The poor fellow's in bad enough shape as it is. Isn't the process of decay fascinating?
It's not really decaying. It's plastic.
It's becoming one with nature, all the same.
まあ、自然に帰らないんだけどね、確か。
Is this important?
Possibly.
Here's a thought. Do you suppose the paintbrush could be the murder weapon? After all, it was found at the scene, right next to Freya's body.
I guess it's possible.
A diary can be a wonderful outlet for an outpouring of one's soul.
How do you know it's a diary?
I suppose I don't, but it does look like a
鍵も
diary.
ついてるし。まあ、だいたい聞くべきこと。
Curious little thing, isn't it? Do you know what she keeps in there?
Nothing. At the moment. It was empty when we opened
だっ
it.
たんだよ、これ。
How bizarre.
Can't a woman keep an empty egg in her room?
いや、っていうか、違う違う。つまり何か入っているはずだったってことだよね。ちょっとね、最初の方に話を聞いていたメンバーに、ここまで拾ったものをいろいろ聞こうか。フィフィー。じゃあ、あなたの日記から。
My book.
And what's in it?
Pages.
いや、そうだけどさ、そうじゃねえんだよ。
This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh, yes. It has a telescopic lens. It could only be used for looking at things that are far away.
でもあの人顕微鏡って言い方してたな。
Who is that in the photo?
I'm quite sure that I have no idea.
隠すな。
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time.
これについて何かある？
Who is this her to whom the message refers?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Then how can I meaningfully evaluate this object? Next!
あ、はい次、はい次。ではこちらはいかがでしょうか？
That blade.
It's a troll for gardening.
It is.
じゃあこちらもいかがでしょう
Now,
か？
this is interesting. Where did you find it?
In the astronomy tower.
And yet, it does not concern the field of astronomy.
Nope.
In fact, you could even say that entomology is the exact opposite of astronomy.
Yeah, you could.
I would not say that, however.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No, it would be quite naive. To study science in any field is to study the
あ
connections
この
between
頭良すぎ
all
て話
matter
が
in
逆
the
に分かんない
universe,
タイプだよ。
living or inanimate. Why did Poppy leave shards of glass all over this statue?
What makes you think it was Poppy?
The statue lives in the music room. Who else would it be?
でもポピーじゃないっていう
It
話
is
な
a
んだよ
flower.
ね。
It reminds me of something,
見たことあるの？
but I cannot say
思い出して
what.
思い出して。
The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless. Unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends
On what?
on the structural integrity of your teeth.
やっぱし構造としてはあれなんだ
This
ね。
belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right, but why?
I do not know why.
謎は深まるばかり。人物の話も聞きましょう。
Percival Pointer. Age 57. Profession none.
I'm pretty sure he's an astronomer.
Oh, yes, of course. How uncharacteristically forgetful of me.
どういうこと？
Name Penelope Pointer. Age 27.
本当は27歳。
Profession ornithologist. Likes birds. Dislikes insects. Notes Penelope is very beautiful. I have never had very much in common with her.
なんか嫌われてると思われてるみたいだけど。
Name Poppy Pointer. Age 19. Profession Apparently, Poppy has defaced my notes. Under profession, I had, of course, originally written pianist, but she has crossed that out and written the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
元ってどういうこと？
Name, Fitzfellow, age, 24.
未確認植物学者ってなんだよ。
Likes soil, dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife.
どういうこと？ナイフを持っていたってどういうこと？ああ、あっちだから。
Name, Hawkshaw. Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo
フェ
nerd
リーさんなんか言われてるよ。
clipboard.
There's something about that diary we found in Fifi's room. Something.
Let's ask her about it.
目の前にいるからね。
Something about the image of Flora. Something.
Let's ask her about it.
There's something about Hawkshaw. Something.
Let's ask her about it.
後で後で。だから今聞く言うとるやろ。
Is this your diary, Fifi? We found it in your bedroom.
Of course it is mine. Ridiculous question.
Why is it locked up like that?
それはまあ、
You seriously require an explanation.
日記
Very
に
well.
鍵ついてんの
A
に対して
fairly
ね。
common concept, the so-called secret diary, is favored in particular by girls between the ages of 10
So, there are secrets written in here?
and this particular diary is unused.
It doesn't look unused.
It's Fifi's diary, and she has written in it.
I'm not sure about that.
Me neither.
This particular diary is unused.
It doesn't look unused.
っていうことは、他の人
It's
の
somebody else's diary.
How could you arrive at that conclusion? It is kept in my bedroom. It is mine.
We need a clue to compare with the diary. Something to prove who the original owner was.
秘密の日記と何かできるもの。直接比較できるもの。あ、
Let's take a closer look at this.
ここ、フレイヤが。
This blue book is somewhat similar to the secret diary, which proves it belonged to Freya. Almost. Maybe just change one. This blue book is the same thing as the secret diary, which proves it belonged to
これ
Freya.
フレイヤの日記か。
You were hiding Freya's diary in your room, and you kept it locked, too.
Why would I do either of these things?
個人的な秘密はフレイヤの日記の中にある。フレイヤは人に見られたくなかった。
Personal secrets. Didn't want anyone to see Freya within Freya's diary. Nope.
違う。っていう いうことはフィフィか。
Personal secrets. Didn't want anyone to see. Fifi within Freya's diary. That's not right.
フィフィを人に見られたくなかったな、ね。これ、個人的な秘密を人に見られたくなかった。フィフィはこうか。
Fifi didn't want anyone to see personal secrets within Freya's diary.
Is this true, Fifi?
I know Freya was your friend, but if you're trying to hide something,
You did not know Freya, so this might be difficult to understand. She did her own thing, in her own way. By concealing Freya's written accounts, it is simply my intention to preserve her innocence.
Innocence?
might be easier if you just let us read the diary, Fifi.
どういうこと？
Very well. I will open it. However, as you read it, please remember, Freya was the most kind and the most wise person I have ever known.
All right, Fifi.
Finally. What's in there?
何が書いてあるの結局。注射液聞いたことない。どういうこと？ハープの謎を解いてるね。とりあえず顕微鏡の穴も聞いてくるか。みんな望遠鏡って言うけど、君これ顕微鏡って言って
This
よ
little
ね。
microscope thing? You said you used it to search the greenhouse.
And this would make perfect sense if you knew what my client had asked me to find. Of course, I still have no intention of disclosing
まあ
that
大体ね
information.
予測はついて
You're
る。
such a tease, Hawkshaw. Don't worry, we already worked out what you're searching for.
多分ねこれでしょ。
You're not as hopeless as you look.
Thanks.
So, that's what you were looking for in the greenhouse? This beetle?
Surely even you can understand the logic of it. The greenhouse is home to a great many insects. The gardener could have easily kept the beetle hidden in there.
Well, Fitz said you questioned him, but didn't actually search the greenhouse.
He is not exactly the type to appreciate subtlety. He simply didn't notice that I was using my microscope.
What do you reckon, Grimoire?
I know for a fact you didn't use the microscope in the greenhouse. It's not a microscope at all.
All of a sudden, Detective Grimoire is some kind of expert on
ね、みんな
microscopes.
望遠鏡っつってるしな。えーっと。
The handheld microscope, according to Fifi, uses a telescopic
確
lens.
か望遠
So
鏡のレンズがうんぬんっ
Hawkshaw
て言ってもそんな
lied
小さいもん
about
じゃ
it.
見れないとか言ってたもんね。
I'm inclined to believe Fifi when it comes to stuff like this.
Hawkshaw, why did you lie about owning a telescope?
When you were a child, what did you aspire to become?
A detective? Naturally.
Emperor of the Galaxy?
銀河系
I
の皇帝
wanted
って
to
な
be
んだ
an
よ。
astronomer.
Really?
I harbored a desire to understand the secrets of the wider universe. A fool's errand, to be sure, but a seductive one. At 15, I decided instead to apply my intelligence to the world around me. And so, I became a
割とそ
detective.
こで探偵ラブ
But
のも
the
非現
yearning
実
for
的だと思うんだ
elusive
けどね。
knowledge is a powerful force. I tried to keep it with me.
Sorry, but we're way off track. What's the deal with the little telescope?
A memento from my childhood. Little more than a toy.
Why did you bring it with you?
When I discovered that it was Professor Pointer who had hired me, I dared to consider it something of a planetary alignment. I had hoped he might sign my telescope. An extremely childish indulgence, I admit.
I never would have guessed.
Hold on. You're admitting you didn't use it in the greenhouse then?
Correct. As it happens, I have no need to search the greenhouse to such a degree. Professor Pointer doesn't consider the gardener a suspect in our theft investigation.
So, who is your suspect?
Things have become complicated. My lead suspect is your murder victim.
フレイヤそうだね。疑惑を聞きに行きましょう。結構喋ってくれるのあなた。
So, this painting, specifically that knife in Flora's hand.
Yeah, it's creepy. But we didn't find a knife anywhere in the room. So what's going on?
It's not a knife. We need a clue to compare with the painting. Something to explain what that knife shape actually is.
まさかこれ？
That kinda makes sense.
違うよね。あ。
Let's take a closer look at this.
思い出した。クリップの羽と同じだ。
The painted knife is actually just a feather from an ink-dip bird.
赤と白の
It's
鳥。
definitely the right shape, but the book's not in color. The thing Flora's holding in the painting is red and white, specifically. Is there anything to suggest that the ink-dip bird is red and white too?
これ。赤と白が重要だって言ってたのはこういうことか。
I don't understand why Felix would make a model of this bird as part of a gift for Flora. And come to think of it, why would Flora be holding a feather in the painting anyway?
インクディップはフローラのペットだとね、思い出として1枚の羽を残しておいた。こう。
The ink-dip bird was Flora's pet, so she kept a single feather to remember it by.
そうか、
She kept
これ
the bird
羽
as a
だったんだ。
And it died?
Maybe it flew away.
Flora spends all her time staring out the window.
Either way, she kept the feather. I think it was pretty important to her.
All right. So she was holding the feather while Freya was painting her. But where is it now? You'd think she'd keep it somewhere close by.
Yeah, I think she does. Normally,
だからか。
this is where Flora usually keeps her feather.
殻の卵。
But we opened it. It's empty.
Mm-hmm. Completely empty. Flora? She's pointing at something in the
この
corner
部
of
屋
the
の角
room.
にある何か
It's
を
just a
指してい
pile
る
of books. They're not... Wait. There's something tucked inside this one.
フローラの絵。愛を込めてフレイヤ。
I like these drawings, Flora.
Is there a reason why you wanted us to see them?
ちょっとこれに聞いて、結局やっぱり喋んないのね。
You haven't seen this yet, have you?
It's a little model of you. Who were the other people next to you? What do you think of your husband's hobby?
Do you have any hobbies?
やっぱ喋ってくんねえのか。とはいえこの殻の卵については分かった。あ、ちょっと待ってね。だいぶあと秘密を持つ者は3人。だいぶね相手は来ている感じがある。ちょっとさ、ペネロペさんとこ行こうか。したいことがあるんだよ、この人に。これ何？
That's rather strange now, isn't it?
あなたの部屋で見つかったんだけど。
Just lying around, was it?
Nope. You'd hidden it, but we found it.
We do that.
Who's the her in the message? And what's the deal with the petals?
It's really none of your business. Yes, it's my my flower.
You don't like it?
I'm no good at caring for plants. I forget to water them. Birds are much easier. They're a lot more vocal when they get thirsty.
Do you at least like the look of the flower?
The look?
The colors? The shape of it?
Between you and me, I think it's a little vulgar.
これ、もしかしてポピーの部屋から持ってきた？
I can't decide what's worse. How she looks here, or how she looks now.
Do you know who this is? In the photo?
Oh, absolutely no idea.
まあもう分かってるから買ってきてんだけど、これについて。
It's that bird. But these must have been drawn at least a year ago. Oh, how sad.
っていうことはその頃はまだいたってこと、この鳥。
Not a fan of insects myself. Whose research is this?
We were hoping you might know.
No, can't say I... Freya, perhaps. I know she was always very fond of grubby little things like this.
なんで？
Noted.
そういえば虫のこと聞いてたって言ってたね。プレイヤー。あ、ちょっとね、おじさんのこと
Can't say I've ever taken an interest in Uncle's astronomy. On occasion, I've dared to visit him in his tower, but I always regret it. It's all just a little too abstract for me.
What do you mean?
Oh, did you know the sun is apparently over 400,000 miles wide? Okay, so what should I do with that information? How does it help me?
Don't look at me. You're the one who memorized it.
そうね。まあそれを知ったらどうしろって言うのって言われても、あ、そうなんだになっちゃうな、僕も。さて、いろいろとね、いろんな人に話を聞きたいところではあるが、ちょっとね、だいぶいい時間だよね。なんかね、あとちょっとのような気もするんだけど、てかもう3時間以上やってるのか。あとちょっとのような気もするんだけど、ね、本来ね、ゆうきくんもこれ参加したいなんていう話をしていたので、後半戦はゆうきくんの時間が大丈夫な時にやっていきましょうか。さすがにね、こんな遅い時間までやったの久々だよ。というわけで、今日はこの辺、大体の謎を聞いて、ね、大体の供述が開いて、大体見えてきた。あ、そういえば、ここに行き方を調べないとね。まあ、そういうわけで、本日はこの辺で一旦締めて、また後日続き、真相編をやりたいと思います。というわけで、画面を、オープニング画面に切り替えて、いや、こんな遅い時間まで付き合ってください皆さん。そしてね、こんな長いやつをね、見てくれてるアーカイブの方も本当にお付き合いありがとうございます。じゃあ次は真相編。次でね、クリアいけると思うんで、もうだいぶね、解かれてるからね。次クリアしていきたいと思います。意外とね、パズルがね、そんな難しくなくてよかった。というわけで皆さん、おやすみなさいませ。さすがにみんな寝ようぜ。というわけで、またね、またね、バイバイ、お疲れ様でした。 次回真相編で、まあその前にね、週末の麻雀配信があると思うので、ぜひその時にお会いしましょう。またねー。